Well, thank God. Thank God I am live with you again this Monday, February the 12th. My goodness, imagine that. We are in February, folk. This first month is just gone. January has just vanished, and we're in February already. My goodness, I tell you, time there used to be an old song that we sang at Christmas. Time is flying, time is flying. Have you done your Christmas buying? Time is flying, time is flying. Soon it will be Christmas Day. And I tell you, time is really, really flying. But it's such a pleasure of mine and an honor and a joy to be back with you again this Monday evening to co-host with Marcia. Um, it's a real privilege, and I was not on the show a few nights ago, and I heard Caswell commit himself to this show, and Maxine and Kemar, and I can assure you that I'm as committed to this show as well. Those people who know me know that I take matters of commitment and dedication and faithfulness very seriously, and I'm committed to truth. I'm committed to my country, and I'm committed to this show because that is what this show is all about. So we want to welcome all of you to this Monday evening, the Marcia Week show. Some of you have been on. I was on a little earlier, just peeping to see what was happening, and some of you have been on since 22 minutes to 6, 5:38. I believe that would have been Alice Murray. Alice, God bless you. And Jill Gelbez, I'll get it right one of these days. And listen, it was such a pleasure to meet some of you in the march we just had on Saturday. And my goodness, what a march. But we're going to get to that, all right? Just want to welcome those of you joining us, the loyal opposition. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A joy to have you with us this evening. I encourage you to share the link on the YouTube link. Share it with your friends, your family. Share it with your enemies. Okay? Just share it with everyone that you can. It's a real pleasure to have you with us and to be with you and to express and experience the joy and the camaraderie and the unity that we share together on this platform. So, a real pleasure of mine to be here and a real joy to have all of you joining us. Stephanie, Demara, my goodness, so many names. They tell me that when you start calling names, if you don't call all the names, some people will be upset. So please don't get upset with me this evening. I had enough people upset with me a few days ago because I made a statement concerning the kitchen and they took me to task on it. So please don't get upset with me this evening. Diana Seeley, Ziara Campbell. If I botch your name, don't kill me. All right, I'm gonna look for the easy ones like Natasha Hope and Marcia. I can get those called really easy. Real joy to have you, Randall Bushell, as well. Oh my goodness! And let me get this born again. Yeah, that's not a difficult one for me to get born again at 48. Great to have you with us again this evening. Lueli, I hope I have that right. Llewellyn. Oh, Llewellyn. Sorry, Llewellyn. Oh my goodness, Llewellyn Eiffel. Okay, and Alvin Simpson, Mr. Maximus. Yes, sir. Wonderful to have you, Sir Alfred Benjamin out of Brooklyn, New York. Sir Alfred, I want to say how much I personally appreciate the commitment you make to this show every single time I come on. You're there and you're in the diaspora out in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, all of you too, all of you. And particularly those of you that are joining us from overseas, outside of Barbados. Don't forget to let us know if you're joining us from outside of Barbados, to let us know where you're joining us from: Australia, England, UK, Canada, United States, what part of the United States. We'll be thrilled to hear. Marlon Seeley, a pleasure to have you with us again this evening. Clive Osborne, Alvin Simpson. So good to have all of you with us. My goodness, some tremendous comments here. Born again, yeah, Mia was laughing. I don't know what that is all about. I take leadership seriously. I make fun and I have jokes, but when it comes to the people's business, I don't have time for fun and time for jokes. Now, when it comes down to the business of the people, so I don't understand that. If she's laughing, she must be laughing at a joke that we don't know anything about, because she better not be laughing at anything to do with this country, because this country is very serious. And I'm going to make a few comments in just a few moments relative to a few things that have happened over the weekend. And my goodness, boy, what a busy weekend. Excuse me. What a busy weekend we have had. Oh my goodness. I think starting out Friday, we heard about an official leader of the opposition coming forth. And then on Saturday, we had a tremendous march. Listen, that was one of the best marches, and I think one of the biggest marches that I was present at. And it just goes to show that people are taking this matter of the cybersecurity bill very seriously. And I do want to make a couple of comments relative to UNESCO with regards to this matter of the cybersecurity bill, because I have said here, and Caswell has said it, Kimar has said it, that there's a lot being imposed upon us as a country and as citizens that are not homegrown. They are not originating within Barbados, right? It's originating outside of Barbados, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes where that is coming from. Alvin Simpson, God bless you. Yes, great to have you with us. Tracy Barra, Camille, Aline, ADG, Rosie. Rosie. Yes, Rosie. Wonderful. Good night. God bless you. Signature Salon. Good night, Loyal Opposition. Yes, all of you, good night and welcome. A real pleasure to have you with us on the show tonight. And I'm taking a few moments just to welcome all of you before we roll into the evening. A787. Yes, a pleasure to have you. Thelma Yearwood. I'm so grateful for the intestinal fortitude that some of you have to put your name up here. Because we seem to have a situation in our country where people are afraid to identify with certain things and let their name be named. Listen, people can't do you anything. Let me tell you, there's a God above that does not sleep and he does not slumber. And, I've seen a couple of comments to talk about not everybody on this platform is religious. That's true, and I respect that, but I am. And I expect you to respect me because of my religious convictions and beliefs. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I believe in the creator of heaven and earth. I believe that man was put upon the earth for a purpose. I believe we're all born into this world for a purpose. I believe man has the dominion on the earth. I see nowhere in my scripture where it tells me man was given dominion over man. If you go back to the book of Genesis, I read man was given dominion over the earth. He was given dominion over the animals. He was given dominion over the birds. He was given dominion over the fish in the sea, over every creeping thing. Nowhere do I read it in that Genesis account that man was given dominion over man. I don't read that. So we have to be very careful how we allow people to have dominion over us and control us and dictate to us and demand of us certain things. You see, there comes a point in time in the game, I had this caption. I don't know if we have it here, but I had a little caption with a game board on the backs of the people, and the politicians were playing the game, and the caption said that the politicians can play the game until the people stand up. When the people stand up, game over. It is finished. And that's really what we want to see, what we need to see, not just here in Barbados. They need to see it in Trinidad. They need to see it in St. Vincent. They need to see it in St. Lucia. They need to see it in Grenada. They need to see it in the UK, the US, and Australia, New Zealand. The people standing up. That's what is needed to be seen, and especially in countries that call themselves a republic. And I wanna, I'm going to touch on a number of things as I share some of these moments before the others come in and join me, and we really focus in on the evening. Good evening, Thelma, to you too. David Motley, God bless you. Tony Paris, yes, good night to the loyal opposition. ISIS, our king. Okay. That first name there, ISIS, be careful, please. ISIS, please be careful, okay? But you just be very careful going into the United States or anywhere like that and telling them your name is ISIS. So just be real careful with that. Jefferson Ward and Everton Hunt, if I call you before. Mystic Angel, there you are. Good night. Good night to you too. Don Reed, God bless you. Great to have you with us too. Square 4, yes. Yes, yes, I did. I did. Yeah, I know. Hold on to the. Yeah, I try to do some things. You must think I'm still a young chicken, huh? But I'm not too far off of that. All right, still keeping some young years, and I like to try and stay, active and so on. But like I said, great to have all of you with us here tonight. A real pleasure and a real honor of mine. Now, Marcia, I spoke with Marcia today, and she wants to make sure that in another couple of minutes that I really kick the program into gear by playing our national anthem, and I want to honor and respect that request that she's made of me. Our national anthem, and now that I mentioned the national anthem, I'm going to get to our national flag. I'm going to come back to our national flag because I think some people should be in jail or prosecuted because of what they did with our national flag on the basis of what Councillor Franklin shared with us on the show last night, I think it was. And I just want to touch on that as well and share my little bit about that. All right. But really a pleasure to have all of you. I was making the point that I'm a person of faith. And I respect people that come on the show that are not people of faith. I respect that, but I equally require you to respect me, having my faith, and Marcia having her faith, and being able to openly express that. That is what democracy is about. That is what freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of expression is about. If we are intimidated and hurt by things that people who have faith say, then we are playing into the hands of the people who want to see this cybersecurity bill passed. Okay, so we have to be very careful how we are criticizing something, and then we want to be expressing things that justify or support what they want to say. I have that freedom. I can speak freely of my I can speak freely of my faith at any point in time, regardless of who it intimidates. That's the privilege and the honor and the freedom of a democracy. I may upset you, you may be upset with me, you may disagree with me, but that too is a feature of a democracy, the right to disagree, but believe you me, agreeably. You may not agree with me, but disagree with me agreeably. So at the end of the day, when we finish our disagreement, we can still walk away shaking hands and friends and family, okay? Not everybody in the family agrees with everything that happens in the family, but they're a family. And that's what we are. We are the loyal opposition. And we are even more than that. I have just got the feeling that there is a building family off of this Marcia Week show. I don't even know if Marcia expected this, or if Marcia thought that this was going to happen or whatever. But it's certainly building that way. It's much more to me than a loyal opposition. When I meet you in person, I am so blessed by the wonderful greetings the hugs you give me. You don't get that in just politics, folk. That's something that comes in relationship. And even here, although we are not connected physically, we are not in the physical space together, we are virtual, yet we are creating bonds here on this show. And I'm really grateful for the bonds I'm creating with Maxine, bonds I'm creating with Glyne Murray. Really great to hear Glyne teaching us a history lesson on Wednesday nights. I have not missed one of his sessions, and they have been such informative and educational sessions, because he speaks about things when I was first entering the realm of politics as a young man, in my early teens, my late teens and early teens. He shares so much that I didn't grasp and understand back then, but I do now because of what he has shared. And Caswell. Caswell has been in this arena for a long time and educates us tremendously, and we are deeply grateful. And with Kemar, my goodness, what a on fire, highly informed, highly educated, smart, wise, intellectually brilliant young man. And you don't judge a book by its cover, folk. I tell you, you don't judge a book by its cover. And I believe that there are people in the political realm who are judging Kemar on his youth, but there's a little biblical verse in which the Apostle Paul tells Timothy, don't let anybody despise your youth. In other words, don't let them disrespect you because of your youthfulness. And I stand by Kimar. I've learned a lot of things from Kimar, in spite of the fact that he's given away tons of years, scores of years to me. I've learned a lot. And I've discovered, there's only one place in this country where nobody's learning anything. Well, I shouldn't say one. There are few. There are quite a few dotted all over the country. But there are two specific areas. One is Westbury Cemetery, and the other one is Coral Ridge. Nobody is learning anything there, my friend. But as long as we are alive, we are learning. And so I'm really grateful to the tremendous team that we have here. And I have no doubt that it will grow in time. They will be the appropriate persons coming onto the platform and sharing with us and helping to educate us even further. And I'm honored. I'm really, really honored to be a part of this mix, to be able to rub shoulders with persons like two senators, Senator Caswell Franklin, Senator Maxine McLean, who was the Foreign Affairs Minister of Barbados. I have found a really wonderful lady. And, all of us have our good points. All of us have our bad points. So be careful. I found her to be a tremendous inspiration and a real joy to be with, and someone that really informs you and educates you. Yes, Zaire, he is ahead of his time as a young man, and he is leading our youth. One of the things. Yes, absolutely, Hurricane. He does give some great gifts in men and women, if I might say. But one of the things that blessed me on Saturday was the number of young men that got on that truck and spoke with fervor, spoke with zeal, spoke with confidence, and spoke with knowledge. And I was absolutely blessed to have been there to hear those young men speak. But before I go any further in the show tonight, we have 490 people on so far. I want you to keep sharing. But before I go any further in the show tonight, let me honor not just because it's her request, but because it's really the right thing for us to do. And I hope it comes out okay, because I'm not the greatest at managing all this technology. But let us respect and honor our national anthem as we begin this show. Amen. 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 Thank God. Thank God. You know, the line that caught my attention, and there's always a different line that catches my attention in the national anthem whenever I hear it. But the one that caught my attention in this national nation, in this anthem, was the last line of the first verse. It speaks of the pride of nationhood. The pride of nationhood. We are a nation. We are recognized as a sovereign country. And that is why we stand for the sovereignty of this country as we do. We are a young nation, a young republic, the youngest, I understand, in the world at this point in time. And we are a sovereign nation. Our leaders have no right bending their knee to the dictates and demands of those who have not elected them to office. They have no right doing so. And so I want to say how proud I am. I am very proud to be a Barbadian, and there is a good aspect of pride. Don't get too cocky with me. There is a good aspect of pride. The scripture speaks of one having a proper estimation of themselves, and that's the pride and dignity of humanity, and it's the pride and dignity of being a Barbadian. And I'm very proud to be a Barbadian. Wherever I go, I represent my country, and I'm proud of Barbados. I'm proud of all that our people are achieving. When I think of persons like Neil Harper, a Barbadian, one of the advisors to international organizations on matters of cybersecurity, that is something to be celebrated. And while we only tend to celebrate one or two people, I'm glad that we do have folk that we can celebrate serving the world. Okay, so I'm really, really grateful for that this evening. Now, I said I wanted to touch on a few things as I'm waiting for Caswell and the others to join me. I want to touch on a couple of things really quickly. First of all, over the weekend, I was saying as we went into the national anthem, we had a tremendous march, and I was really blessed by the young men that got on that truck and spoke and spoke with confidence. They spoke with knowledge. They spoke with certainty, and they were specific, and they were dogmatic on what they feel and what they believe. And I thought, wow, these are following in the footsteps of Kemar. And Kemar, I see as a leader within his generation. He's a tremendous young man, and I think he has a tremendous future in politics. And I believe that those who lead in the political arena in this country need to pay attention to this young man. We need to celebrate him. We're not bigging him up to give him a big head and make him think he's better than anybody else. Not at all. But we are celebrating him for who he is and why God has birthed him upon the earth. So we're very proud of this young man. And as a group here on this show, I can tell you we're very proud to have him as a part of our team. And so, Kemar, we really want to celebrate you, and Maxine and Glyne. And of course, we are just facilitators. And Marcy is always quick to make the point that this is not about us. It's not about her. It's about the loyal opposition. And it would appear that we now have an official opposition, but we'll come to that. So it was really great to hear those young men on the truck and to be able to be present and to listen to them. And I really appreciated that. A lot has happened over the weekend. We've had Mr. Ralph Thorne cross the floor, become the leader of the opposition. We'll get to that in the show a little later on. But there were some comments made by the Prime Minister. And I'm aware that the cybersecurity bill, we have to celebrate a victory. But I want to wait till the others join me to celebrate that victory. I don't know. I don't want to do it by myself here and just with you. I want the rest of the team when they come on. We want to celebrate it together with you. Is that all right? Let's celebrate it together. So we'll come to that. But over the weekend, I heard this morning on Brass Tacks, some clips coming out of her contribution to the Christchurch East or something like that. I think it was. Yes, sir. A contribution she made on Sunday evening. And as I was listening to her speaking about the reductions in prices of foodstuffs and, prices holding the same or being lower and all of that, I began to think to myself, but wait a minute, Madam Prime Minister, let me get something clear. That is no special achievement. That is what we hired you to do. You were voted into office to represent the people and do what was in the best interest of the people. That is nothing that should be commended outside of the extraordinary. That's why you were hired. We have hired you and the rest of your party, the rest of the government, the rest of the cabinet. We hire you. You do not hire us. We employ you. You do not employ us. Get that message through your thick skull, all of you. We are your bosses. We are not your servants. When you stand and stood in the president's house, you stood there to serve. And the fundamental meaning of minister is servant. That's what the fundamental meaning of minister is. So the prime minister is the number one servant. Act like one and stop acting like a Lord God and stop acting like you are in charge. We have delegated the responsibility to you and your team to work for the people of Barbados and to do what is in their best interests. That's what you were hired to do. So don't come out and pontificate about roads being paved and water going here and this happening over there and electricity going in over here and the airport being. That's what you were hired to do. You don't get kudos for doing the job that you were hired to do. It's when you go beyond the call of duty. It's when you go beyond what you were hired to do, ma'am, that you receive kudos for that. But please, if I'm hired to sell and I do a good job at selling cars, all the people do is pay me a good commission and thank me for my job. I don't get no special treatment and special awards or anything like that for doing my job. And it's what you're supposed to do. And this was something I promoted during my campaign in 2022 when I ran for elections in 2022 under the ticket of the APP. I made this one of my platform planks that the people in Parliament, the people in government get on as if they're doing us a favor and achieving something magnificent by doing their job. No, that's the job you were hired by the people of Barbados to do. So please, let's get this right. If you have been able to bring prices down, well, thank you. We appreciate that. But that's your job. If you were able to reduce unemployment, well, again, we applaud you, but that is your job. That's what you were hired to do. All right. So don't let's get no arrogance and that type of thing. I see my good friend Caswell is in. Caswell, you can let me know when you want to bring me in. When you want me to bring, you want to come in now? You want to come in with me now? Okay, nice, man. Come and join me. Come and join me. It's so good to see you.
It's always good to see you. It's always good to be here.
Oh yes,
I,
and to have you. Go ahead and
I
greet the loyal opposition,
Yeah,
please. Go right ahead and
please,
greet them.
well, good night, everyone. Again, I'm happy to be here, and I'm so proud of you. You don't know how it filled I would say it filled the cockles of my heart for you to see you on Saturday.
Oh yes, oh yes,
we had
oh
a nice
yes,
crowd, and
yes.
that crowd showed what you have been saying all along. For it says, when the people stand up, the game is over.
Game is over. The game is
You
over.
know,
And
because
one of the things that blessed me, Caswell, on Saturday that I saw more than anything else. Well, a few things. Number one, the number of cameras that came out, the number of phones. I have never seen so many phones in my life come out to take pictures of the march. And then the number of people that were just stationary on the sidewalk. You saw that?
yes, because
You saw
the
that?
people were standing on the sidewalk waiting for us.
Yes,
And I
yes.
and sometimes when we're marching, the people just go about their business
Yeah, yeah.
but no, they were actually concerned about what we were doing.
Correct, correct. And
And
that's something I observed. And the other thing I observed, did you notice that when we started to play the national anthem, how almost everybody just came to attention? I know we had one or two people that kept walking, so maybe a couple of the young ones, but everybody on the sidewalk and everything, especially when we got up by Parliament Building, everybody on the sidewalk just came to attention. You didn't even have to say anything to anybody.
you know, You see, our people are patriotic, you know. It is just
Yes,
that
they are.
they're downtrodden now. And you got to, you see, but listen to what Ralph was saying today. You know, he was identifying how you were treating the poor people. This is what it sounds like he was watching the show, because remember, we always speak about how they treat the most vulnerable,
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
spoke about he's sending home people and giving consultants work.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and some
yep.
of the most vulnerable. So that's what the people are afraid to spread to speak up, because they don't want me next. But
And you know that
I hope Ralph and his team, whoever he chooses, will be able to stand up and give, give
good representation.
a good representation to the
Hmm.
people of this
Hmm.
country, because
Yes.
Barbados needs um, an opposition in Parliament, and Ralph has not provided that. He will provide two senators, and I hope that they, whoever they are, will be able to keep the government, and people say on their toes. I don't want them on their toes, I want them on their heels. When you're on your toes, you coming for me. When you're on your heels, I got you going back, you know. So
You're very true, because my sister was an athlete. As you know, Frida was a sprinter in the 100 and 200 meters, and she ran on her toes. She did not run on her heels.
you know, on your
You
heels.
know, not on the heels.
I want them on the heels. I want you on your toes. When you're on your
You
toes,
want them back it up.
yeah, I want you backing up, because there's so much that they have to undo. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
I
yeah.
understand today the Prime Minister walked out of the meeting with the private sector. My understanding is I was not there, so the reports that come to me, because they don't invite me to these things, and they said that the chairman said that the Prime Minister has been intimidating the participants, and she asked for show of hands or something like that if they disagree with her. Of course, the people didn't disagree with her. I know they're talking about removing her, but let me tell you something. Let them let these same private sector agencies. Mind you, one of them cursed me already because I spoke up against the Prime Minister, and that same person now was leading the charge against this lady for standing up to the Prime Minister, because these people become the Prime Minister's minions and they do what the Prime Minister wants. And if the Prime Minister says jump, they say, "Oh, hi, ma'am." And then when you
Mhm.
say, "Can I come down now?" You know, because they don't want to, they don't, integrity in a lot of these places sadly lacking.
Yes,
And
yes,
you are elected or you are selected to do a particular job, and you must not betray the confidence of the people who put you there because you choose to be a BLP yard vote. That is what has been happening with a lot of our private sector agencies, including the unions, and that is why we have this nonsense about the labor clauses, concessions bill,
hmm,
because they want to. The Prime Minister has to do favors for the Barbados Workers Union. The Barbados Workers Union in 1984, when I did a paper on them for presentation when I was going to Labor College in the States. So I had to write something about Barbados. So I did some research on Barbados Workers Union. In 1984, the Barbados Workers Union had 25,000 members. In 2024, they can't find 6,000 because the people have lost confidence in them. And the
um,
Prime Minister, okay, you say something.
sorry, no, yeah, just to ask you to bring, I see a comment coming up that they apparently not hearing you too well. If you could bring your mic a little closer to you, that you could, yeah, or speak a little louder.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, so right
Ah,
now what the Prime Minister is doing is trying to make sure that the Barbados Workers Union get membership. But that too will backfire, because if you put all of these things in the law, you bypass the union, and then the union wouldn't be relevant. So what they're thinking short sightedly and thinking in the short term, because they want, and I'm saying this not because I'm guessing or believing that this might be the situation. Tony Moore got up and said that this is what the government will do for the hotel sector. But then when you realize that you can't just do it for the hotel sector, because then that will look really bad. So they then spread it around the entire private sector, and they come up with this labor clauses bill, and say, and the thing that hurts, I think that bothers me is that we now have a employment rights tribunal that can deal with most of the things that they are saying that if the employees breach, then they can go to the minister and lose their concessions. No, the minister is not a judicial person. The tribunal is um, a quasi judicial body, and they have laws that say that if you breach the Employment Rights Act, you breach the Holidays with Pay Act and stuff, you can end it before a tribunal or a court in the case of the Holidays with Pay Act. And they want to give the minister power to deal with these things because they're all caught up in this BLP cabal. Tony Moore is BLP, the government is BLP, Ralph Thorne is not BLP anymore, thank God. But all of them, they are BLP, so they're trying to find a way to make Barbados Workers Union relevant. I have so much trouble from people who love the Barbados Workers Union, and I tell them all the time, and the NUPW, employers recommend them. You imagine an employer telling their workers, no, you should join the Barbados Workers Union, don't make it as well. And similarly, senior public officers telling people, join NUPW because don't mind Caswell. Caswell's giving them trouble. But
Caswell, I heard on Brass Tacks today that your union is the fastest growing union in Barbados.
My union is the only union that is growing.
Yeah,
the rest, all of them are dying.
Somebody that called it, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, and he'll probably deny it if he's watching this show, but David Ellis actually mentioned this show on the Brass Tacks today. He went through it quickly because somebody called in and talked about people suffering in silence. And I saw somebody ask about it tonight, and David Ellis made the statement, people suffering in silence. You don't watch the Marcia Week show, and it just went by. So I had to tell Marcia, man, things are happening with this show that apparently even the calling programs are now calling the show and speaking to the show. But Kaz, you said something.
Before you do that, but before you go on further, it ain't only the calling programs. It is the government. The government, first of all, they got people monitoring the program. And when they heard what we were talking about and they realized that they're wrong, they come and say, oh, we listen to Marcia Big Show and we had a change of heart. Oh, they come with some flimsy excuse, but they're doing exactly what we say. Right now, I hear the Prime Minister talking about taking the cybercrime bill to a select committee.
But Ted, I heard you talk about that last night. You spoke about that last night. I believe it was last night.
Yes.
Where and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to learn all of this stuff because I depend on people like you and Glenn for the history and expertise. Did you not mention, number one, that the Prime Minister has no authority to send the bill to the select committee, one, and
none whatsoever.
And two, that it is how should I put that? In other words, having reached the state of the Senate, it really can't go backwards. Except, is it the Senate that can do that, or something you mentioned last night? Could you clarify that for me?
You see, when you're sending things to a select committee, you send things to a select committee to refine them, to make them better. You don't make it better after it is passed. So it's passed the House.
Correct.
It has passed the House. So the Prime Minister who is in the House cannot be speaking to a select committee of the House. So when she says that, she is speaking to deficiencies in what they have done. You do not take the step, the third step, after you have taken the fourth and fifth step. It just don't work like that. But what can happen now, because the Senate now goes through the whole process again, the Senate can establish a select committee to deal with it.
You know that person there, Caswell?
I don't know. We had over 100 cadets in those days. But so she cannot make an announcement. Just how she got up and she said, that Neil Rowe will be replaced as the deputy speaker, and City Ford will be appointed as deputy speaker, and then the role wouldn't move because she has no authority to do that. You see, the prime minister is large and in charge, and she behaves as though the rules don't matter. There's a way to do things. I'm like some person said. Some person says, "Here we go again." They put on the shoes and then go put the socks. And this is what they're doing now. And that, oh yeah, what a mess, shoes before socks again. You know, that is the problem. The prime
Hmm.
minister, I believe that the prime minister has never been interested in form or even substance of how to deal with something. She just wanted power, and she got it there, got elected, and was ready to use it. She refused to learn the rules of the house. I don't believe that she's proficient in those rules.
From my personal interaction with her, I must say that I'm really disappointed, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have had their personal interaction with the prime minister. I'm very disappointed in the very disingenuous manner in which I hear her speak to persons who have expressed concerns or expressed, for that matter, opposition. I've said that, Caswell, we have to change the attitude of politics in Barbados. And funny thing is that this entire cybersecurity bill that we'll be talking about tonight is one of those things that treats to this, because it means that if that bill is ever passed, and we are praying that it's not passed in its current form, that you can't express anything negative or opposed to anything that persons in authority have to say.
You see, this is the makers of a dictatorship. You see, in North Korea, you can't even um, speak. I know of one instance where uh, the fellow stopped applauding before the rest of the crowd, before Kim Jong Un wanted the applause to stop, and he got executed. Another guy dozed off uh, um, during one of his speeches, and they shot him. So that might sound extreme, but the way this behavior is going now, anything can happen in Barbados because people are setting themselves up to be dictators, to be feudal lords and masters. Where nobody can. In the old days when the lord is passing, you have to hold your head down. You could look at him. You could look him in the face, or not to whip you. And this is what they're aspiring to. You see, we need people like Ralph Torn in office, because Ralph Torn, I didn't know him as a boy growing up. I knew his brothers. They both went to Common Mayor. Ralph went to the other place that we wouldn't mention here.
You mean to my school? The other place that you know or mention that I would mention, Harrison College,
Right?
Harrison
But
College.
but his
But Caswell, but
two of his
Caswell,
brothers went to Common Mayor, so I knew them
I'm
from
not
back then.
I'm not taking away your thunder, but look at this. You're a Combamerian. I'm a Harazonian. Look how we work together on this show. I mean,
Yeah,
we are actually teaching them something.
you know, But we always make fun with each other, but we have a lot of healthy respect for each other.
Oh yeah, oh
The
yeah, yes.
the thing. So I knew his brothers, and I knew how the thing is, they have that same, like, well, they had the same upbringing. So I knew them. I knew their I count the brothers among my friends. But I've encountered Ralph since I've gotten involved in politics and in trade unionism, because as I said last night, I appeared against him on a few matters, and he has been decent. You know,
I've always found him to be a very decent gentleman.
So I have a lot of respect for him. I said at one stage I was losing it, because I didn't know he could sit down with those people and let these things happen. But apparently he was fighting. But you see, you can't serve man and mammoth. He is, you can't have two masters, and especially when one is evil and the other one is good. You can't serve both. And I
Hmm.
think that his conflict was that he was trying to, like, make them decent. That you can bend a young tree and do what you want to do with it. But you see these old oaks in the Barbados, everybody, you gotta cut them down. You
Yeah.
can't bend them, and that
Yeah.
is the, so Ralph cannot change them. There are too many old oaks there.
Yeah.
You need they need wood ants, or you need an axe, but you gotta get rid of them. You gotta get them down. You know. So he
You know.
can. So I am happy that
Mhm.
he has chosen to leave them and to chart his course. I hear him saying that he would want to do it within the party and he might join the Democrat Labour Party. I and
Well, I
he's
didn't hear him.
honest
I didn't
enough
hear.
to he's
I
honest
didn't
enough
hear
to
him
say
say
that.
that though. I didn't hear him say that he might join. I hear him say that he would like to do it within a party, but they tried
Yeah.
to push him to reveal what that would mean, but he didn't. He didn't fall for that because the
No,
press always
I
tries to do that kind of thing.
I think he's going to the Democrat Labour Party. I think that will,
But
but
even if he
no,
does, Caswell, because I listened to some comments from people, that would suggest, he came out of the Democratic Labour Party, and as if there's something wrong with coming out of the Democratic Labour Party to the Barbados Labour Party and then going back. But people
watch.
seem to have
Mayor
forgotten.
Motley came out of
Go
the
ahead.
Democrat Labour Party. Mayor Motley came out of the
Whoa,
Democrat
whoa, whoa!
Labour
Wait
Party.
a minute! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! What did you just say?
I said Mayor Motley came out of the Democratic Labour Party. She was a young Democrat. She spoke on Philip Gray's platforms. People forget.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
forget. She
Yeah.
campaigned for Philip Graves against Ronald Toppin.
But didn't Arabara come out of the Barbados Labour Party? It wasn't the
Everybody came
Labour
with the
Party.
Barbados Labour Party.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't see. So when you find that you're around people that you can't deal with, you go along.
A respectful thing to do.
But Mia didn't leave on the basis of she had any difference of opinion or anything with the Barbados the Democrat Labour Party. But she had a difference with the Prime Minister, Sandyford, because she was trying to urge Sandyford to get rid of Leroy Brathwaite so she could run in the constituency that she has now. And Sandyford was loyal to his people, and he refused to take down Leroy Brathwaite for her. Of course, no, she didn't get that seat. She didn't get this. She didn't get to run. And remember, it was the days when there was a 24-3. Um, Democrat Labour Party had 24 seats. Barbados Labour Party had 3 seats, only now for Henry Ford and David Simmons. The Barbados Labour Party therefore was looking for 24 candidates, and the Dems they were only looking for 3. And they weren't looking for very serious candidates either, because nobody expected Henry Ford to get beaten in Christchurch West. Nobody would have beaten David Simmons in St. Thomas unless they take a piece of stick and hit it with it. Um, and when after his initial loss by 1 vote to Sybil Leacock, then he
At the recount.
and so then the court then decided this election was compromised because we had too many spoiled votes and some that weren't spoiled and all that were supposed to be counted that weren't counted and things. So the court said, look, this got to go over. And then only I won the next election. As a matter of fact, I worked in that election. So
You know,
the
go ahead.
so you see, so Mayor now had a choice: wait until the Dems another year or so, when some Dems might retire and get a chance to run, or run with the bees. So hers was not a philosophical thing; it was a power grab. She wanted power. She got it now, and you see how she's abusing it. And that is what people should have seen back then. But she talks pretty, and people think that was substance. And a substance, it is that's flowery snake oil salesman talk.
But
And
when she was speaking, or should I say, when I heard the recording of her speech yesterday concerning the prices of different things in these supermarkets, she was really. I'm sorry, I don't have a copy of the recording because I would like to go and check the prices myself to see if that is so. Because the problem that we're dealing with here, Caswell, is a matter of trust, and I think Ralph expressed that specifically today when he was being interviewed. He spoke to the matter of trust, not just the matter of the legal aspects of what the of what the government is doing, but he spoke about the matter of the fact that the people just don't trust you. And this is something that has come out of the pandemic. This has come out of the period of pandemic where so many people, now that the truth is coming out, now the whistleblowers are coming out. Because remember, Caswell, I watched, I've been trying to find the clip, and I will find it. I watched an interview with our Prime Minister, with Amanpour, during the early stages of the pandemic. And one of the things that she spoke about was the capacity to control false information. I remember that specifically, to control misinformation and false information. The
Yeah, and
reality is
but
that,
she did a lot of it against Frandl. So that's why she wants to control us now, because she knows what she did, and she don't want to do it to her.
but remember that we said, and let me call you Frandel. Remember, remember we said, Caswell, and I want to read something for the people to hear. Remember, we said a lot of these things that are coming at us are not homegrown. You remember we said that, and
Yeah,
that they're
we've
coming
always
in
said
from
that.
overseas. Yeah, listen to this. And this was sent to me this afternoon, because UNESCO, a major UN agency, is launching an alarming plan, one that strikes the very heart of our freedom. The plan, called Guidelines for the Governance of Digital Platforms, outlines a set of duties, responsibilities, and roles for states, digital platforms, intergovernmental organizations, civil society, media, etc., to deal with dis and misinformation, hate speech, and conspiracy theories. When I heard the minister responsible for technology speaking concerning the necessity to push this bill through because cyberbullying caused suicides. And I checked, I don't see any suicides. And I checked, the person I checked with indicated to me, I don't see any suicides that have occurred that have been identified as a result of anything to do with the internet. Then you had the attorney general come out and speak to the matter of the fact that that they're not trying to control free speech of Barbados. But when you go through the bill, there are specific clauses in the bill that treat to the control of what goes in. And the deputy prime minister herself spoke to the matter of controlling what was being said on calling programs and on blogs. That I heard that with my own ears, and I've read it in the media, and I'm trusting the media has reported accurately. But that would be a matter of concern. But we clearly can see from what I just read to you that it is not a homegrown. Listen, the same UN that pushes for a global pandemic accord to control your health decisions, or that upholds that religious freedom is less important than the promotion of the LGBT ideology, they will now be deciding what you can or cannot read, post, or share. Now, that I am reading to you from this is from Citizen Go, that have reported this, coming straight out of UNESCO. This is what UNESCO is promoting and pushing in the UN. And here we are dealing with a cyber bill covering exactly the same things. So when we
But
say
but
that
but
they're
but you,
not
but you must
homegrown,
remember that this is not only UNESCO. They have already done exactly that in Sierra Leone. They did it in
yes,
2021. We now just following lockstep behind them, because it seems to be some sort of worldwide conspiracy where they want to, somebody want to rule the world or something like that, and they're getting idiots like from these small countries to come and to test these systems on. And Barbados has suffered from this process where these people want to fine tune their nastiness, and they give it to our gullible prime minister. I mean, honorable prime minister. Yeah, it mix up. And she comes here and she needs to stay home and stop going to all these meetings. When there was COVID, the boy not going nowhere. They do it by Zoom. She flying about the place and getting on the sidelines, and people putting things in she and can buy one try upon us. Her job is to protect Barbados and Barbadians. and so far she has failed miserably.
But there's also something else that you brought up. I put that one up for you to have a laugh at.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also another matter that you brought up, and it also came to my mind. You were speaking, I think, again last night concerning our national emblems, the
Yes.
national flag, the coat of arms, I guess, would be one of them, and so on. And you were speaking about the legality of using them, or illegality of using them in a particular way and doing things with them. You talked about somebody tying the national flag around their head and this kind of thing, and performing with, with police in the crowd, and nothing happening. But what do we say to the people when the prime minister takes our national flag to, is it Ghana,
Yeah,
and buries
because
it with bones
no,
in
the
the
thing
earth?
is,
That is our that
the
is the biggest national symbol that we have, our flag. It's what identifies us as Barbadians to the rest of the world.
the flag. I was a soldier. The flag is not supposed to touch the ground. You're not when you're lowering the flag. You gotta lower it in such a way that it don't touch the
Hmm.
ground. You
Yeah.
see the fellas driving over the shoulder thing before they let it touch the ground. Because if a soldier allows that flag when he's lowered to touch the ground, he's charged. But I was so offended when I saw that. When
Yes,
I
I
saw
was.
those people lower that flag into the ground, and matter of fact, I talked about it when it was in the Senate. I complained about it because you know you see some fellas said it was a sergeant, his sergeant in number three comp and in number three company and stuff. Back then, so the way I was socialized, the way I was brought up, I was brought up to respect the flag, respect Barbados and the Barbados our symbols. It might sound corny now for some people because they're not people don't train you like they used to in those days. So they kind of respect that people have. I see people make car seat covers out of the national flag and all kind of stuff. I said, what the hell these people are doing? But and the thing is, it is an offense. It is an offense, and it is one that it is observing the breach because these people don't and I think a lot of people don't know. People do not know that to tie the flag around you and walk boat is an offense in Barbados. But people do it all the time. I see people got it wrong. Them thing tie up. But what did you expect? You don't train the people. If you don't train them, you don't expect them to know. Because if you don't tell a fellow that you bring up a child and you don't bring up the child in the way it shall grow, and when it is old, you will not depart from it. I remember again, I saw that somewhere, and
Book of
I
Proverbs.
remember that. Yeah, I know I saw it in Proverbs there, but
Mhm,
I don't want to
mhm.
be like you. I'm quoting the Bible because I might quote it wrong. So
But the most important thing is to know it. You don't have to necessarily, because I keep saying to people, the Lord did not ask me to retain the reference in my mind or my heart. He told me to hide His word in my heart. So I hide the word. I don't hide the reference. So every now and again, I go and pick up the reference to see where it comes from myself because I hide the word. But Caswell, getting back to this matter of the aspect, because of course you're dealing now with these national symbols, and you see, I don't know if people realize how things tie in, because when you lose the respect for national symbols, in my view, you're saying that you're losing respect for the people, because these national symbols represent the people, whatever they are. I think one is the coat of arms. I think the other one is
the
the
coat of
national flag.
arms, the
Um,
flag.
the flag is it. Of course, our national anthem. You should, and this is one of the things that I've learned. No matter what you're doing, once the national anthem begins to play, you stop, and you come to attention. Even if I was driving, and I heard the national anthem in a public event or whatever, you stop your car, you show that respect for the national
I'm
anthem.
Freddie. Check Maxine. She might be trying to get in.
Yeah, let me see, Maxine. I'm bringing you in. Are you hearing me? Okay, you're hearing me there. Just give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me. Okay, there, great. I'm bringing you in, my dear. So
Hi,
nice
good
to have
evening.
you join us. You are the perennial Maxine McLean.
What
You,
that mean?
but listen,
Freddie, before you go,
you wait,
before you
Caswell,
go, you
you
saw
wait.
her dancing.
You wait, my man. You wait, my man. I was coming there was your problem. You know, I have known Maxine. Maxine, you know, I've known you from
Forever,
years ago,
forever.
like forever, and you have not changed one bit. You look the same. I think you used to have a little more hair some
I used to
years
look
ago. I
old.
think,
I used to
but
have more hair. That's right. But it
well,
always was natural.
I used to have some, but
It
mine
always
like
was. It always was
mine
natural, but a little more.
yeah, but you know, you just remain the same person I've known down through the years, and you know, it's an honor, really. I don't know if I'm using the right words because sometimes, believe it or not, a preacher can run out of words, but and a politician, I think politicians can rarely run out of words too. But you know,
I
you
saw
keep
some
your
expressions that they ran out of something last night. I'm not sure what it was.
And today they were on a meeting.
But that's when I try to give a compliment to the lady, man. What's wrong with you? Let me finish my complimenting Maxine There. You know,
Yay.
you remain so wonderfully youthful. Let me put it that
Thank
way.
you.
It's really nice to have you on the show tonight. There's a number of things. I know you must have some things on your mind, on your heart too.
Yep.
A few things I've already dealt with from my end to do with the matters of how I feel concerning when I hear politicians getting up pontificating on what they've achieved. I'm saying to myself, but that's what you were hired to do. So don't get up and pontificate about it. If the price of things are coming down, that's the job you were hired to do.
But the
If you're
price of
doing
things not
roads,
coming down.
but I
But
don't know which
I
supermarket
I
they're going in.
I have been keeping interesting. I heard when you mentioned that. I have been keeping my supermarket bills because
Me too.
I remember after I went to the supermarket after Christmas, the first time I went after Christmas, and there's certain things that you buy all the time. So,
Hmm.
and I was shocked at some price increases. Now, I understand that we have the issues with the Panama Canal, with the
Hmm. Hmm.
Houthis and so on, Yemen and all of those things. But to come and tell me that prices have gone down. I went to the supermarket on Thursday, and one sweet pepper, which probably might have been like $5, was like $8 and $9.
Hmm.
A red one.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, that's not something you have to have, because my position is when they get to those prices, I don't buy them, especially since they're imported. But anybody who is trying to suggest that prices have been contained is not true. Tell us why
You're being
prices are going up
dishonest.
if that is the case.
I can tell you one price that come down. The price of flights on Liat. They're down.
Okay.
They're all
Why?
the way down. They're out of the air.
I, I hear sitting thinking to myself, but casually, the airline don't exist. The airline don't exist anymore.
You're
So I
trying
just
to come
press
up
the
with
button.
something. No,
So
but
that's the only
prices
I had to find something that came down. That came down.
You know,
it came down the air.
Maxine, I'll tell you something, and I'll tell you where it really struck me. As you know, I travel a lot between here and Grand Cayman. And one of my favorite foods is soda bix and eclipse biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
I
With
love,
me,
especially a eclipse biscuit. I love a fresh eclipse biscuit. All right.
with some
Here,
butter.
and maybe a little sardine. Here in Barbados,
Yeah.
one of those eclipse biscuits, a package at the cheapest price I saw was around $1.99. I think in some supermarkets over $2, $2.06, $2.10, something like that. You know what's the price of a package of Eclipse biscuits in Grand Cayman?
50
Around
cent.
46 cents.
I was gonna say 59 cents, 46.
Yeah. Well, 59 US.
Right. Yes, I know it's US, but
59
it's still
US.
cheap. It's about
Yeah.
the same price or cheaper having
And you have
exported
to
it.
and you have to produce it here, pay the same labor here, transport it to the airport or seaport, ship it, at the cost of shipping today, which has gone up through the roof because of certain aspects where China and so on are concerned, and import it into a country where it's charged duty, put on a supermarket shelf, marked up, and then sold.
The
And it's
question,
selling
and
for about $1.10 Barbados in Grand Cayman.
I think what do they call it? I think they call that marginal pricing. Where they send these things off, and we actually end up paying for those lower prices elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that. They will tell you, but then we are here, and it really galls when you go and look at products overseas, whether it's our juices, or biscuits or whatever else, and you can buy them cheaper. But the cost of living continues to rise when you look at basic food items and so on.
Absolutely.
And I chose a non-essential thing because of sweet pepper, but it was just that I could see it in front of me. It's not essential. Now, what does that say to me? Because I have a very serious interest in agriculture, in part because I've been working for the last several years with a number of young people. I have relatives who are very interested. In one case, I have a niece who is trained in agriculture, and I hear, um, concern. We hear people talking on the one hand about food security and food safety. We want to be sure what we're eating, and so on. And then you hear, I mean, I was listening to, I think it might have been David Ellis on one of the programs recently. And he was talking about, yeah, I think it might have been Monday. He was talking about agriculture and the challenges. Now, why can't we put some resources into solving those challenges? And the one that he used, he said, well, this is a dry season. Now, what that means is that there's a problem with water. But earlier this year, we had some torrential rains, didn't we?
Yes,
We
we
had
did.
lots of rain, and it just, I mean, if where I live, as Caswell will know, it kind of slants down. So I can stand at a window and see water rushing down the street,
Yes. Same thing
that
here
runs
in
parallel
St.
to
George.
my house.
Mm-hmm.
And so why can't we put a couple $1 million into a research fund and say to the students at the SJPP, was it PTI, Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Institute of Technology, into the Barbados Community College, into the university here and the St. Augustine campus, as part of the system, to research how we can capture water and store it and keep it in a way that does not allow it to become stagnant or whatever the case may be. I regularly watch young Africans on some things, experimenting with all kinds of things because they have need of, certain things in a village, in a rural community, and so on. So my thinking is we need to put an effort into getting our young people to be solutions minded. I don't know, Kazu, what you think about that, because your mic,
Your mic is muted.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I was doing a little something I don't want you to hear. I was actually getting some information on my phone.
Which you can share, hopefully.
Well, yeah, one of them was that Neil Ross said he's going to go out to the floor too and sit with the opposition tomorrow. I said he's told his constituents.
I've seen messages coming from several places to me on that.
To that effect. So I am just hoping, well,
I am going to cross the floor tomorrow. I'm going to be there to support Rav.
Nice,
I'm going to be there to support him because we are the loyal opposition. Now we have an official opposition. We have a voice in Parliament that I think we can trust. I've known Rav for a long time, and I think this is one of the areas that we'd like to touch on tonight. Because this is a significant occurrence over the past 72 or more hours. Some people may not be aware of it. I know there are some people who have expressed that they're not of the same faith that we are here on the show. But we all over the country have been praying for a breakthrough. And when you see something like this happen, sometimes people are looking for God to drop out the sky with some phenomenal miracle. But things like this happen, you can see the hand of God at work in the conscience and minds of people. And
Yeah.
that is really what Ralph expressed.
I was very touched. In fact, I was talking to a guy, and he was saying to me, it brought tears to his eye. This is a man who was big enough to admit that real men do cry. Caswell, let me see what it is, baby. I'll see you shed a tear.
No,
But one of the
I
men
cried
on
when my
my
mother
group,
died.
That was it.
Yeah.
yeah, I one of the men in my group as well made the statement that he there were tears in his eyes when he listened to him speak. So obviously it was an emotional and touching moment.
But
But he shared it. Go ahead,
But
Nancy.
you see, you can't fake heartfelt.
No, that's true.
Yes.
That's a good expression. I can
see.
write that down, Caswell.
Me too. You can't fake heartfelt.
Heartfelt.
Let me
I
write that down.
write and attribute to you.
That was coming from the heart. Sometimes you see people try to pretend to be sincere, but sincerity, you always know when it is bull fecal matter. You can see it. You can see right through it. But somebody sent it the Starcom Network thing to me today. I listened to every word that Ralph said,
Yes.
and you can feel Ralph
You can
was
feel
hurt
it.
and conflicted. He
Yeah.
couldn't.
He couldn't
I
handle
think
it anymore.
If Ralph had stayed in the Barbados Labour Party under Mayor Motley and continued this way, we would be following him down. He'd be at his state funeral a few months from now or next year or something like that. He couldn't take it anymore. It would have killed him. His pressure would have gone through the roof or something, and that would have killed him. You can see, you can hear, and it was not theater. It
No.
was you can
Measured.
and the thing what I like about him, he was honest. But people,
Yes.
people
Yes.
try to say,
Yeah.
like if that's not Ralph, when the reporter asked him about joining the Dems, he said, well, he preferred to do what he's doing in the
party.
political party. Some people would have
Him and Haw.
hem and haw. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Hem and haw. And but Ralph was honest. Whether you agree with him or not, he was honest, and that is what I expected of Ralph Thorne, and I will continue to expect from Ralph Thorne, because I didn't know. You see, when Ralph, if you look in the house, look back to all the YouTube videos and stuff when these matters were going on, Ralph absented himself. He couldn't stomach it.
Yes.
In
I
fact,
saw
he
that.
made the point that if they were debating the educational reform, he would have had to step across the aisle of Parliament to do his response. And I want to say something which, for those persons who, like to either extremes are very judgmental because of their faith, and there's some people like that, or some who are very cynical. I liked how he dealt. He says, "I am not a devout
Yes.
Christian, but I did what I did as a child, as
As a
instructed by my
child.
mother. I
Yes.
got down
Yeah.
on my
On my
knees,
knees and
closed
clasp
my
my
eyes, and
hands.
clasped his hands."
Yes.
And it you see what that said to me, because it took me back to our days as children,
Yes.
when many of
Yes.
us, we went to church, we were taken to church. It was a very big, you prayed at home, you did whatever. Then you got into your university days and whatever, and you probably, things conflicted, but at the heart and soul of you as a person is the grounding that you had, that spiritual grounding. And you know what? In times of serious decision making, of crisis, of whatever, you've turned inward to that faith. And that was one of the very touching things to me, and it was genuine. I know some people like to call on the name of the Lord when it suits them. I don't judge people, but I'm saying that you see people, but I saw it, and
Yes.
I was very touched. and he made even in terms of casual of the issue of the realities of party politics in Barbados. He made the point that that is a real part of it, but for him, his primary concern, and this is my paraphrasing what he said, was service to the people of Barbados.
Correct.
I think that to me it was genuine.
Mhm.
It took it, and I want to say something quickly before I stop. He mentioned that he'll be in Parliament tomorrow, and somebody in the chat that I'm in commented that they almost, and again I'm paraphrasing the contribution in that chat, that they can almost hear the other side heckling him and so on. But I want to
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
I want
Yeah.
to say to the members of the government, the 29, but I said 28 because I don't expect the speaker to get into any of this because he is in charge of the proceedings.
No, he
I
will
want
do.
to say to them,
He will do.
I want to say to the 29 then, Barbadians have no appetite for trivial behavior
Correct.
in the House of Assembly or
Correct.
the Senate when he appoints the two senators. I can tell you as a former leader of government business that I used to tell my colleagues where to draw the line because I know that there were some who sought some things to give the now leader of government business in the House of Assembly. And she would know, I'm speaking of Member of Parliament and Minister Bradshaw. She sat in the Senate when I was for a period of time there, and oftentimes she was on her own because her other colleague was absent for whatever reason. And I told my colleagues, there's some things that I will not accept, and there's a level of behavior that is important. And
And
I'm saying,
$7,500 one of those things that you would not accept.
well, I had my say on that because as I tell people, there's the law and there's the spirit, the spirit of the law as well.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would say to people, I don't bring an argument to me that there was no law. We know what was intended and what you advocated and what you campaign on and so on. But I really want to stress that point, and I will listen to what you kind gentlemen have to say. I repeat again, Barbadians, go online, follow the proceedings, and there are two things that concern me. One, that there was a general absence of many of the members of Parliament anytime that I watched the sit-ins, and my question is why? If they're traveling, we have not been told what are the reasons for their absence. And I would say to people, monitor your MPs, particularly those persons who would have voted for them and argue for them and come hell or high water, and monitor that, but also tell them we have to deal with the matter of the business of the people of Barbados in a serious way, and we have no time for heckling, trivial behavior, and seeking to intimidate Mr. Thorne because he's sitting on the other side. Because at the
Well,
end of the day, he is there to do our business. He has made a commitment, and we don't want to see people making fun and wasting time. That's not what they're there for. That's not what they're paid for. The business of our business is too serious to do that kind of time wasting. So
but
I just
Maxine,
wanted to say
you
that.
when you say one thing, you got to say the next. That is all they're capable of. So, no, I'm very serious. You
But
look
it's
at
sad.
these people in the house.
Contributions, that's
You
true.
listen to what they are saying. They don't
That's
make no
true.
sense. So
Those who speak,
I turn off.
those
If
who
look,
speak, but I am going to turn on now because I know at least there will be one speech that I will hear, you know.
But Maxine, I fully agree with you on this matter because Barbadians are tired of the trivialities of politics. Life is far too serious since the pandemic, particularly since the pandemic. Life is far too serious for people, uh, for us to carry on in politics as we used to. And when I listened to Ralph, there was another aspect, Maxine, that struck me. He made the comment, something about his sins, suggesting that he was aware of the fact that he fails, and not many people own up to failure. Everybody stands up and when they succeed, but very few people really own up to failure. And what I heard was Ralph indicating his humanity and the need for him to go beyond that. If he's going to achieve what he's going to achieve for the people of Barbados, it is going to require me to go beyond my humanity. And that's what I heard from him. And I heard his drawing on something that his mother, and whenever I'm listening to people and they reference their parents, especially their mother, it sends a significant message to me, because mothers are one of the people that we respect. We respect them even more, if I may say so without losing my head, as I did a couple of days ago. We respect them even more than we do fathers.
It's
We
the nature
respect
of the relationship
mother.
between parent, a mother and,
Yes,
and children, and
mother
a
and,
father and
and the
children.
child. And I really feel that we are going to see an authentic, passionate, true and clear presentation from Ralph in Parliament on any subject. And I'm looking forward to robust, sensible debate, if it is possible to get it from the other side. I'm looking forward to that, because he's going to be, I'm telling you, based on the speech I heard him give in Parliament a little while ago, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with on the opposition.
Yeah, and I will just repeat something. I sent the message. He must have gotten it several ways, and I did make it last night, as other people did. That given the task that he has, um, any research and information that we can share with him, and
Yes.
certainly I have committed to do that, because I know what it will be for an individual, on his own, unless there are others who join, having to deal with everything, particularly in a situation where we have seen under this administration bills turning up in the House to be debated on the same day. Caswell can tell you what he experienced in the Senate. And so I think we need to call on the government now, parking, the role that Mr. Thorne is going to play, just for a second, to deal with the matter of the cybercrime bill, which, as you know, would have been, we heard that is going to go to some special committee. Now, Caswell explained last night, but what it really, and why that is happening, is because these things are rushed and people do not have a chance to properly vet them. Then people do not have a chance to analyze them and speak to them. And from all that I can see, very few of the members of Parliament seem to, from the contributions or lack of contributions, many of them seem not even to pay attention to the substance of these bills.
Yes, yes. And it's so important, really. I mean, I must tell you that I sat down and began, because of what was shared on this show, I sat down and began to go through very carefully that cybersecurity bill, more than any of the other bills that we have had. I started to look at the Samoa Agreement, but the Samoa Agreement was 400 and something pages long. So I just decided to go with what others had identified and read that area. But this bill is only 30 something, I think 32 or 37 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked through it, and there's some good stuff in the bill. My mother always used to commend people when they did an aspect of things. But there's some good aspects to the bill that I listened to the show last night, and you all spoke about that. You mentioned a couple of those areas in terms of the bullying and the pedophilia, and other areas of that nature. But these areas to do, and I heard Kazul explain it so clearly on magistrates and judges, the oath of a police officer. I mean, you could have a guy go to before a judge or a magistrate and lie in the oath and be able to walk into my home, pick up my computers, my cell phones, and everything, and then demand Flow and Digicel to provide the information. This came up in the UK, and it came up in Australia, and it came up in New Zealand, I believe. And I believe there are some lawsuits that are being prepared with regards to all of this in some of these other countries. And I believe no, it's not that they accepted. But I was sharing with Caswell earlier that a segment that I read regarding UNESCO pushing this in the UN, and the World Health Organization pushing this billing, this kind of legislation, so that countries can control what is being said. And that is really what happened during the entire pandemic. Well, I see two faces that have appeared, and one has reappeared for a moment, and I see him wiping he was talking about you dancing, but boy, I tell you, he's dancing. He dancing with another component. I am not going to say
He's
any more about
snacking.
that. He's
I hear her play it too. And of course,
But I wanted. I see Marcia is on. Marcia, great to have you. Good night. God bless
Good
you.
night. Good night.
And I
Great to
see
be here.
Kimar. I see Kimar is on as well. Kimar, welcome. A real pleasure to have you on with us, my friend.
All right, good night, everyone. As well, Marcia, Pastor Ferdinand, and the members of the Loyal Opposition. Always happy to be here.
I wanted to ask you, Marcia, I'm looking at the number of people on the show at the moment. We've cleared 1,000. It's 1,050 people. Now, I am new to the show. Have we ever cleared that number before? I don't know.
last night, 1,400.
Last night for sure. Last
1,400.
night. Good night, everybody. Again.
Yes.
Last night we were at 1,400 and something.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that because I wasn't on here. But right now, YouTube is showing 1,000, and we're showing 1,063. So that's probably the differentiation that I would not have seen, because YouTube is showing 1,000, and we're showing 1,062.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I would have thought that we hadn't cleared it before. So, 1,400 last night.
Yes, yes, and they're tuning in because you know what we're presenting, Mr. Franklin. It's a non-partisan approach to politics, and that's really what it's all about. It's about the people, the voice of the people. We're seeing that everywhere. I was in town today, and people are just shouting, hailing us up.
Yes.
Saying a big hello to Mr. Franklin and to Kimar and to Mr. McLean and the pastor, and they call you the pastor and everybody. And it's because we're representing the people. We are allowing them actually. They come on and they're able to share their thoughts. And share their views on different subjects.
Sorry, no, I wanted to just say that at the beginning, I was talking about how it has become almost now more like a family, more than just an opposition, because when I meet the people in reality, they're coming up to you and giving you such hugs. And I mean hugs, Marcia. There's like the bear hugs, stifling the breath out of it kind of hugs. And, there's almost like, I don't want to use the word camaraderie because that's a little too political to me. But it's almost like a family that has been developing.
Yes, most definitely. And, I was reflecting, Ms. McLean, on the work of a man called Caswell Franklin. Last night was a special night. This man was like a lecturer, a university lecturer last night before you came on. He was lecturing over 1,000 people on here, and myself and my husband. This morning we were talking about what we learned, and that's the power there. And, Mr. Franklin, everybody's saying, oh, they're hoping that you get back in the Senate and so on. But you're doing such an amazing work with just connecting to the people, educating us. It's been about 7 months. I feel like I've been in university, Mr. Franklin, with the work that you have been doing. And I say from where I sit, whether you're in the Senate or you're not in the Senate, the education continues. Right, Ms. McLean?
Very much so. And I think, I usually listen before I come on. I'm usually following. And think about it. If you have on a nightly basis 1,000 or more people, You may have a core of them who are on all the time, but then there are these other persons. So think of the number of people that you impact over a week, over a month, over the past 7 months. And it is very important, because a lot of people last night, for example, what he was able to share in part of what he said was the whole workings of parliament and so on. People talk, but they don't understand. And this whole thing has demonstrated that in a lot of ways, that people, but unfortunately, I remember I put myself, I mean, and when I was at school, that's a long time ago. I remember running home, trying to get the bus to get down to Black Rock in time to be able to join, because you had on the radio, you would get coverage of the estimates and the budget. But for me, those were things, and I used to enjoy hearing the news about the debates and so on, reading the newspaper. I don't listen generally to Parliament except to go and see what bill they're dealing. I may listen to some of the Senate. And that's why I said what I said earlier. I don't know if you heard me, Marcia, when I asked people, I admonished the people to do the right thing and be serious. Because I can anticipate, based on what I've seen in the past, how some of them may seek to behave. But we don't have time for that anymore. But I think Caswell has done a good job of that.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Miss McLean. I'm sorry.
I was saying Caswell has done a good job. Kimar, whenever he does a presentation, he brings it to the people in terms of the finances of government and so on, and the budgets and the workings of government. When we hear about all these things, at least people are being educated and informed so that they can see for themselves and explain what they are feeling as citizens when these things impact them.
Correct. And that's why I say to myself that Mr. Thorne is entitled, Dr. Ferdinand, to choose whomever he wants to be his senators, and so whatever he does, we continue to pray for him, we continue to work with him, but listen, this show continues, right, Mr. Franklin?
That's continue,
right. Because
we were before.
We helped to birth this. We are part of the, Miss McLean, we've helped everybody that's come on, all 1,069 of you here. We've helped to birth this. Listen to his speech. Listen to Mr. Thorne's speech today.
No, you're correct. I think it gave him it kind of strengthened his back to make the decisions. I think that because he understands night after night that Barbadians have had enough, and having enough on he has had enough, but he's been fortified. That's a word that I think would use. I don't know, Kimar, you're there looking very meditative. So
with his jacket on, if you mind you, his jacket on. He's getting ready. He's getting ready.
Kimar, you're wearing that jacket. When you wear that jacket, something special happened. But go ahead. Good night, Kimar.
He probably went somewhere before he came here.
I know where he went, so I'm gonna let him tell you. But I can go and get my jacket too. I can't be up there.
I got my hanger right over there, so I can get mine too. So
Kimar, what's on your mind, Kimar?
Yeah,
where you coming from? Where you coming from? You got
well, I coming from the way. Yeah, I have not gone as yet. Flight.
I was asking where you going to.
Yeah, but the Bahamas, we
Oh yes.
Yes, so we made the regional news yet again. Discussing the cybercrime bill.
Okay.
And we shared some of our experiences surrounding the cybercrime bill on the regional platform. So I want to applaud the group yet again for standing up and pushing back against this bill. And our voices are being heard all around the world. So I want to thank you guys for the continued commitment and the continued support. What we are doing is working very well. And I just want to say thank you guys for the commitment to Barbados and making Barbados better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No,
And
Galbert said here, only tonight I told my husband I cannot imagine where we in Barbados would be without the Marcia Week show. I can endorse that. you
Well,
know,
to be honest with you,
and we got
Caswell.
but no, let me finish.
Oh,
And we have to thank the lady Marcia Weeks because I remember I tell the story a lot. You know, I when I left the Senate, well, when they kicked me out the Senate, yeah, put it the other way. Um, I I said to the media that I will do my stuff on the internet because I was speaking all along. That's what Comic Con said anyhow because people hear my voice and Bishop Adley recognized that I could make a contribution. And when that came out in the press, the nation to be exact, a person contacted me and he said he can set up all these systems for me, but I don't trust him. And I said, the Lord speak to me or something. But I said, I ain't going on that road. And then one day, oh, listen, I was keeping quiet. I wasn't saying anything. And then the national insurance thing happened. Marcia and I spoke, and I said, Marcia, we could use your show. I want to reinvent the wheel, and I sticking by this wheel, because this show has been educational for the people of Barbados and for me, because they learn a lot from it too. Don't think I only go out there giving it, get some too,
oh yes, oh yes.
and so we got to thank Marcy for this. And people, my nation recognize her as the controversial personality of the year, but she is a lot more than that.
Yes,
She's
yes.
she probably one of the educators of the year because she has been doing tremendous work. And the thing is, since then, people have been saying to me, "But Casper, you should have your own show." I said, "No, I can stick with Marcia. First of all, I can't do all that stuff that Dave does behind there. So I can go and try now to go and do and flop when I can stick here with a great team, So, but Marcia always thank Dave for me because I don't
yes,
I can't sing his praises enough. He said in the background. I think if some person see him, they really know who Dave is, but he is the engine
He's the engine. He's in the engine room.
of this show.
Yes,
You can't work without an engine. So somebody said Marcy is our hero, but I said Marcy and Div are our
correct,
heroes.
yes,
correct,
yes. Well,
correct.
Caswell, I can't even remember, to be honest with you, how I got on the show. That's the truth. I know. I think it's one evening. I think it's an evening because things happen, and I don't always recall it, but I think it was on one evening. I got a call from Marcy, and she asked me something about helping her to host it. Marcy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I honestly can't remember. But I'll tell you the honest to God truth. I have absolutely enjoyed. It is almost like sitting at the feet of teachers, even Kimar. And he was one of the people that impressed me most of all when I came on the show. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be among you and learn so much.
Thank you guys. But there's somebody here. What we're doing it like the show going to end, Kimar. We're thanking everybody. But those of you who are new, there's somebody on here that please don't kill me if I say this, but the Marcia Week show was happening once a week, 1 hour on a Wednesday. You're right, and we're connected to Caribbean. And I remember one Sunday, this woman you see on here that was dancing in the street, Miss McLean, is actually these 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 shows that I like to talk the truth. These shows that started 7 months ago, 4 nights a week, and I think at one week we would go 5 nights. We went 5 nights of the week, right when we just started. But Miss McLean is the person, who called me that Sunday. And she kind of tricked me because I didn't want to come on. I said, I'm not getting involved in these things in Barbados. I don't want to get involved. I was ready to leave Barbados. I'm not involved. She called me about the pension because I told my husband was trying to get me involved. I told him no. But Miss McLean, she said, I said, but I don't know anything about the topic. I didn't want to tell her, it's Miss McLean. I don't want to tell her that I don't want to do it. I just told her I don't know much about it. So she told me, Caswell, she said, listen, I'm going to call Caswell. She said, you have his number there. I said, I have his number. She said, I will call him. Just give us the show. You don't have to say anything. Just turn on the whole thing. And Caswell and I, that time she didn't even talk to Caswell yet, She didn't
Maxine
even
knows me
talk
well.
to Caswell yet, Kibar. She said, Caswell and I are going to going to talk. You don't have to say anything. And I stopped. I said, okay, all right. I will do it. And I came on, and when I started typing, I felt something. I said, interesting. What is that? And the rest is history. So you are thanking me, and I'm thanking Miss McLean for, I don't know how it happened, why she called me. And I want to say that it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot, and I've met, just some wonderful people. Each night, as you said, it's like a family. And, our families that we don't see on the screen, like your wife and Caswell and,
No,
family members.
no.
Snow and everybody, our family members, this kind of support that we get to come on. And this show, I know Kimar has a lot he wants to share, but just let me say this before he shares, because he has to go off to talk to the Bahamians, Bahamas news source there
Does,
called him
does he
to
need anybody to carry his cases? Anybody?
He not traveling.
Kimar has gone. Kimar is so way beyond, but Kimar has gone, regional. I tell you, he has a whole Bahamian thing to do, nothing to do with the Marcia. We show it's too local for him now, but but it's been a great journey. And what I want to say, Miss, is that regardless what happens to Mr. Thorne, we are grateful for it. We have been part of that process,
Yes.
Mr. McLean, to help him to, I believe, to kind of, kind of give him that strength, then, that wind behind him, and he knows that we are
Wind
there,
beneath his wings.
but it does not mean that we are going to stop
Right.
being the opposition. He's one. We are 200 and
Many,
something thousand.
many.
We are many, and that's why we're going to turn up tomorrow. We're turning up at 9:30 at the Parliament, and we mean it. As somebody says, this is not just a talk show. We're action. We're full of action. So we're turning up at the Parliament tomorrow morning to be there to support him, right? And as we said last night, we love you, Mr. Thorne, but listen, our commitment is to Barbados.
Yep.
Our commitment is to Barbados. Yes, and don't forget that, Mr. Thorne. Our commitment, we love Barbados. That's what it is. We love this country. That's our commitment. And so while you're there, we will continue. We will keep you on your toes.
Yeah, we will keep your feet to the fire.
That's right. Yes, we're going to keep his feet to the fire.
Feet to the fire, Mr. Thorne. Kimar,
Sir.
in his jacket.
Yes, madams. Mademoiselles.
Mademoiselles, okay. There we. Oh gosh.
So, Kimar, what are your thoughts about Mr. Thorne's speech today? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard his speech. I heard the sincerity in the message, and I heard a man whose conscience kicked in and got the best of him. He could have stayed on and try to tough it out to keep the seat, as many people believe that the government is a majority government, but as he said, this is a minority government.
Ha.
And a lot of persons don't realize that this administration was elected with the lowest voter turnout ever in the history of Barbados. And he is identifying that Barbadians at large feel like their rights are being taken away, like they're losing their freedoms, right? And that message aligns with the message that the loyal opposition has been pushing for quite some time. It aligns with the message that is coming out right from the hearts of the people of Barbados, that they believe that their rights are being taken away, their financial freedoms are being taken away, their legal freedoms are being taken away, political freedoms being taken away. So Mr. Tarn represented today what the people have been saying to the government all along. And we would encourage him to continue in that vein. I like the respect that he paid to God in saying that he prayed and he sought wisdom not from man, but he sought the wisdom. And in his conviction, I don't think there's anything that could be done to heckle him or disturb him mentally because he sought the right advice right directly from the source. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So we would encourage him to keep trotting the right way. Be cautious and careful with political serpents. They always come at opportune times and to derail good movements, great movements. So we would pray that he has the continued wisdom to steer his ship the right way. Um, I also heard him speaking about joining a particular political party. I don't know if wearing a yellow tie is a signal to the public, uh, but he said that he's interested. And as you know, we have one major political party right now, and that is the Democratic Labour Party. And if Ralph Thorne joins the Democratic Labour Party, according to the constitution of the DLP, he would essentially become the political leader of the party, as he will be the only person with a seat in the House Assembly. Um,
Whoa.
the political leader is indeed separate from the office of presidency. So you can be a president of the party and not be the political leader. Right? The presidency is basically an administrative role and does not represent leadership at that level, at the political level, but more administrative.
So hold
So
a minute, hold a minute. This listen, you are spitting out this knowledge here, Mr. Frank. You're going too fast because I didn't even somebody sent me something this evening. Just I was in class and I'm like, what are they talking about? You all hearing what's going on here? I mean, what are you saying, Kimar? You're saying that if Mr. Thorne, if the yellow tie means that he's going to go and join the Democratic Labour Party, that he will become the political leader of the party?
yes.
And the political leader, and the I thought the president. I guess we never really had that before, so I didn't understand that. So
We had it before. We had it before. In the history of the party, you had situations where one person was the political leader and another person the president. Obviously, these things is power you're speaking about, so these things do come with contention. If you can get a balance and understand a relationship between two people. So as the constitution of the party states, the political leader is who wins a seat for the party. As of right now, nobody in Democratic Labour Party has a seat. So we do not have a political leader. We have a president who is who plays an administrative role in the party, but not the role of the leader. So if you don't have a seat,
You've had both of them sometimes held by one person, though.
Yes.
They've not been separated. So in recent times, they were held by one person. But with this situation, as Kimar points out, it creates a situation where they'll be divided if such were to happen. Sorry, Kimar, go ahead. I just want to.
But Kimar is quite right. And what will happen here is that Ralph, if he joins the Dems, he will be the spokesperson for the Dems. That is essentially what he will become, because you remember when Thompson there was only he and Kelman in the house. And Thompson said, I can't take this no more, because and he said as political leader. And they do a little fancy footwork and get Maskell to lead. Uh, but essentially, the president, as Kimar said, is the fellow who does the paperwork, has the keep the place running, keep and chair meetings and stuff. The political leader speaks on behalf of the party, and he speaks on behalf of the party in the House. And the Constitutional Democrat Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party, they tell you that the political leader is the person who leads the party in the House, in Parliament. So if you're not in Parliament, you can't have a political leader. So because there was a vacancy for political leader, Ronnie emerged as the spokesperson for the party. But he know if Ralph goes, he will have to accept that Ralph is the spokesman. And I hope that he's mature enough to understand that and allow Ralph, because Ralph will be the person who gets the people will go to the leader of opposition to hear from him. Yeah, they're not going to go to nobody else when you have a leader of the opposition.
So can I ask a question?
But I was going to read to you, Marcia, so that people don't get confused from this, because I think I saw you circulate. Somebody sent it to you, and so that people are clear. This is called the member's passport. Okay, so that people understand. It says president and
just to be clear, someone sent it to me, and I only sent it to the people here because I didn't.
That's right. And I don't mean right. So, but I'm just reading it because I actually have it here with some documents, because you usually walk with this as part of when you go to meetings or whatever. And it says here, the president and general secretary of the party are respectively the chairman and secretary of the executive council. Okay. And then it goes in.
Maxine, no, don't not finish. Go back over it because everything went black for a little bit there just now.
Oh, okay. It says, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
It says the president and general secretary of the party are respectively the chairman and secretary of the executive council. Okay. The executive, there are two councils. You have the executive council and the general council, but then you have a section which says the parliamentary group. The parliamentary group shall consist of all party members of the House of Assembly and the Senate. The political leader shall be the chairman of the parliamentary group. And then it tells you the parliamentary group shall meet at such times and in such places as the chairman shall determine. Now, basically, as Kimar pointed out, sometime in the past, you would have had the two roles separated. In more recent time, and people have argued for and against that. In more recent times, because of the situation, and even when we were in office, the two were held by the same person. But there's provision for the separation. And in a situation where the president is not a member of parliament, then he or she cannot be the political leader, according to the Constitution. I hope that explains it.
Okay, but supposing if Rob Thorne makes Ronnie a senator, just pardon me, I don't know, just my ignorance. If you were to make him a senator, then how does that work?
No, the political leader must come from the House.
The House of Assembly.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So the person has a seat in Parliament. The Senate those are appointed people.
Right. Okay. We learned that. Yes.
So just want to be clear so people didn't, get things. So I was just
somebody has a good question here. A good question here, guys. Question to Mr. Franklin: who would choose the candidates? Last time there was a shadow cabinet that Mr. Franklin
candidates
saying it's not a shadow cabinet because there was no leader of opposition in the House. In the House of Assembly. So now that if he, well, I'm saying now like it is so, but if he chooses what will happen to this shadow cabinet, and who is going to choose candidates?
No, the shadow cabinet is the function of the leader of the opposition by historical and by convention, historical practice and convention. The political leader of the opposition forms a shadow cabinet. Right now, so that's what I said. What I said the last time about it not being a shadow cabinet. It could have been, you could have been spokesman on this and spokesman on that.
Right. No,
Because
no, that is making a whole lot of sense right now. That is making a whole lot of sense. But continue, Mr. Franklin.
so Ralph, no, and I hope the DLP accepts him and use him to get back to office, because we need these people out of here faster. Not I say post haste. We can't wait for them to go. They are, look, I just sent you a clip from the meeting where Khalil Kaftiwala was speaking. He was speaking on the reasons why they want this bill, this cyber crime bill. And listen to him. You know, he is the emerging leader of the party. You know, the almost senator. I don't want to cling to him. Almost senator, though. I think that's the best I can do for him. And he is aspiring for leadership. Now, if you hear what he is saying, you got to be careful. And the people of Barbados should make sure that boy never get anywhere near power. But I said it to you a little while ago because it was a little clip, and you should see it, and you would understand what their motives. They want to shut you down. They want to stop you from speaking. They want to stop you from I see Kimar is raising his hand, so he might want to go to Bahamas. So you let me know.
I can be back soon.
Okay, so let's
hello to the folks in the Bahamas for us.
Yes, what is the name of the show of the news? Because you're going live on news in Bahamas right now. He's on the 8 o'clock news in Bahamas. Kimar, what's the name of it again?
Eyewitness News Bahamas.
Eyewitness News Bahamas. You hear that? So Kimar, listen, they're all talking about you being senator and whatever. Listen, then let them know you're gone regional. All right? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Well, I'm so disappointed because I was just looking forward to a free flight.
All right, Kimar. Don't be late. Don't be late. Okay.
Right. Marcia, the question there, if based on what you heard, y'all were talking about two different issues, because, and I think that Mr. Newton may be a little bit confused, because a president or a political leader does not choose candidates. The party has a very clear structure of of signal interest being nominated, proposed by branches and so on, being interviewed by the councils and whatever. So an individual doesn't decide. There's a process.
Let me correct you here. You speak for the Dems, because
no, but he's asking. But he was asking who chooses the candidate. He was and we were talking about them. I not talking about your system. I can't speak to that.
No. I'm going to tell you what happens. Those same procedures exist in the Barbados Labour Party.
That's
but
correct.
They're observing the breach.
Well, but I can tell
the political leader, the prime minister, whatever, says we don't want you. The candidate, and it happens. And that is why we have in Barbados right now such drone bees. You know, not even worker bees. You know, we got so much drones in the Barbados Labour Party lined up because they were handpicked. The Dems go through a process. The Dems go through a process where they coming from the branches.
Yes, and people. I sat on the panel, for example, that interviewed the people who wanted to be considered for St. James South, where I live, and that includes the no president. So we have that process. So I hope, Caswell, that you. Well, no, let me behave myself. I was going to say this is stuff outside. No, but we have a structure. Yeah, sorry, Marcia.
We have a structure, but when it came on to the shadow cabinet.
But that's why I said it was different. They're two different things.
Right.
I see. They're two different things, because what it was, I mean, that is something that the president and whoever would have put together. But in terms of candidates, it has to go for the 30 constituency. There's a single process that applies, including, there've been some other things added recently, but there's a very clear process, and that I can tell you. So it isn't an individual who will sit down and say, well, we want John Brown, Mary Smith, Joe Blow, or whoever.
Yeah. Wow. Do you see this show? I mean, it's just so much education happening here. I had no idea, how it would impact on the DLP if this happened. So we are being told, so the political leader, and would be, if he does, it would be Ralph Thorne, and the president, who is more of an administrative role, would be Dr. Yearwood. And how is that going to play in there? I guess we will wait and see how that's going to work. Um,
Well, we have mature men, so I don't foresee a problem. The problem comes if you have little puerile children running the place, or puerile um spoiled child kind of leaders where mommy couldn't tell the little girl anything or she will go to daddy. That kind of that will happen in a situation where you have the little spoiled child who has grown up but still a spoiled child. Because a spoiled child will walk out of a meeting when somebody say, but you're intimidating the people here, and just all they're disrespecting me because you. Look, I remember at this one of the same forums when a white man from England, or where hell he come from, near McHale, calls Sandy Ford
Chris.
an errant schoolboy, and the same people make the noise, the man cursey. But this lady now says, "But you're intimidating our people. You're intimidating our members, and that is a fact. She intimidates everybody.
mhm.
She pushes her way around." I shouldn't say that though because I will go. People might think I'm talking about the same thing that Carrie Simmons talk about when he talk about the 1,000 pounds. I'm not doing that. Okay, I mean weight in the figurative sense because you got that kind of power. All right, so I don't want nobody to accuse me of behaving like Carrie Simmons.
Well, Marcy,
You
I
know
see a
what?
question is up there in terms
Yes,
of him
yes.
joining one of the other parties. I was a member of the APP in the last general election. The challenge that is existing there is
Can you speak up a little, Dr. Ferdinand?
yeah, the challenge that would exist there is let me make sure I get it up. Is that better?
Yes, it
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
my sound. I'm not sure.
Okay. The challenge you have there is the constituencies infrastructure, which the Democratic Labour Party already has in place. The APP does not have that structure in place, and I don't see it getting that structure in place within the time frame of the next general election. I'm not aware of the fact of other parties that would have had that structure in place for 30 constituencies. And that's probably one of the reasons that Ralph would probably give consideration more so to the Democratic Labour Party than any other party. He certainly is
Mhm,
not going to give it to the Barbados Labour Party because he's currently walking away from them. So where do
mhm.
you walk away to if you're
Yeah.
going to be aligned to another party?
But the thing is about these third parties like APP, and you have APP. I can't remember all the names right now.
Solutions Barbados is one.
Solutions
Uh,
Barbados. You have
there are a
APP.
few of them.
There is Solutions Barbados, and what else?
I can't remember the other ones.
There is several of them.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about it, to be honest, and I can say it, they're gonna curse me for doing this. You have APP. You also have the UPP.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me
Well, the
say honestly,
UPP had merged with the UDP to form the APP.
right. So it's APP we have. Yes. Thanks for reminder. Honestly, I try to be kind to everybody. Last election, Miss McLean, I used my show to showcase all of the third parties. I did not want anybody who was not third party on the show. Okay. because I wanted to give them, to help and so on. And I tried to help every one of them. But honestly, it seemed like they can't even, it's like all of them put together can't even be one. And in honesty, that's my honest feel about it. I did try to help. I love Mr. Atherley. He's somebody I respect. But and there is Scanterbury, who also has a party, and Apostle is a good friend of mine. There's Lynette Eastman that I love. I like Lynette Eastman a lot. But guys, come on, this is a joke. Why would and they're going to curse me tomorrow, but why would Mr. Thorne go and join one of those?
Correct.
They're defunct.
Correct.
They are not
Yeah.
operating, and it's annoying. And I'm telling you something here. The same way we're holding all those parties accountable, all of you little splinters of a parties, we will hold you accountable as well. It's nonsense you're doing. It's foolishness, Miss McLean.
I wouldn't go as far as calling that. The reality, I look at the reality is that both the Barbados Labour Party, because that existed before the Democratic Labour Party, are over 6 decades in existence. We are a small population. As was pointed out, there's a party structure, a constituency structure that you have in place. For example, yesterday you would have had maybe I think 4 or 5 branches of the Democratic Labour Party meeting. To get people to hold those things together, even in an established party, takes a lot of work on the part of volunteers and so on. It is so people come together, but then when you realize what is required to keep people going, to keep people, bringing members together to discuss issues and so on. So over my life, I've seen my brother would have been involved. He was a member of the DLP, and I remember he left and he got involved in another political party. I think there were probably 2 that he got involved with over his years. The second one, the NDP, was the one that got closest to having a continuing structure, and that didn't last beyond a couple of years either. So it is not easy. Because at the end of the day, if you want to form a government, you have to have, in the scheme of things, at least 16 seats. And so to find enough candidates to contest an election, it is a fairly complex process. I mean, in terms of even preparing for an election, putting together your policies based on a vision and all of these, is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and so it. I will go a little easier on them, Marcia, in terms of, I understood the work you did in trying to make sure that they had an opportunity. And I know that you correctly so you focus on those parties which would not have had the same kinds of mechanisms to get out there and in the public domain and so on. So I would.
Can I just say one thing before Mr. Franklin come on? Is that my biggest concern, Miss McLean, is I'm not questioning whether they should exist. I'm not saying that it's not hard. It is hard, and as you've just outlined, and I agree, and which is why I stuck out my neck to try to help. But what I don't appreciate, Miss McLean, is the lack of work, the perceived lack of work of some of these parties. During the time when they're not being, when there's no election. I think that there are things that can be done. For example, you take these bills here, Dr. Ferdinand. Have we heard any of the third parties or the smaller parties? Let's stop calling them third, or any of the other parties speaking out about the bills? Yes, we harp away and we quarrel with the DLP, but where is the APP? Where is Solutions Barbados? Where are all these people? And that's my concern, Miss McLean. You could be small, but do you really care about the people? Because then it makes me wonder, because you only show up at election time. That doesn't make any sense. that is really, I needed to probably should have prefaced what I said with that.
Yeah,
I think people should
reasonable.
try. I think people should try.
Reasonable. I get the point you're making. I mean, you know,
I,
casual.
I want to throw a spanner into the works now. Not that I normally do things like that, but I was just laughing. I remember when Oinatha became prime minister. He started a system where each party represented in the House would get $150,000 a year to help with the administration, because the parties don't make money. They make money from they get money from the contributions from the MPs who pay 5% or something so toward the maintenance of the party. So when you don't have any people in office and you don't have deep pockets like the Barbados, the party has been like a call up, the people in town and say I want X and I want Y. The party suffer. The Dems does not have that kind of infrastructure where they can call the merchants. So I hear people talking, oh, the headquarters in ship as it used to be. That's because you ain't got the money. No, because you still got staff on a regular basis that you still have to pay. So that's going to be the problem. But no, when Reverend Adderley, Bishop Adderley, he, and people said cross the floor, he didn't cross the floor, but I'll explain that later. When he formed the opposition, the Barbados Labour Party said, oh, you had to have run in the election as that party, so you can't get the money. So they took the money that was supposed to the other side too. They were only supposed to get $150,000, and they took all for all sides. But that was dishonest. They were only supposed to get $150,000. So the most they could have gotten is $150,000. And if there was no other party, they would get $150,000. But then no, they say, oh, because you're in the House, we can take all. They shouldn't have taken all. That was dishonest. That was corruption. No, they said, well, you must have run in order to get this money. So the Dems won the last election. So if Ralph joins the Dems, I know they have a man in the House, he must get $150,000.
Let me
The
tell
Democratic
you,
Labour Party, the Democratic Labour Party must now get that $150,000, and the Barbados Labour Party gotta stop thieving it.
If it didn't get spent already.
No, but I remember a time when some person collected it and then tell the party nothing, had it on their account. But I'm not going to call any names. I'm not going to call any names because I was in the party at the time. I was an assistant secretary and we looking for the money, can't find it. Parliament paid it over, and that person was not the treasurer, of the party or anything. So I don't know how the person managed to get the check negotiated because it came from the House in the check. So you never. But I will tell you who stole it off air, because I can get George Payne to come forward and testify for me. Because,
you have to whisper in Marcia's ear, lest you get into trouble.
So that person
there's going to be a
actually,
letter on the way for you.
That person actually stole the 150,000. Well, they get it in two tranches, so it was $75,000. So when the office manager, Miss Marlon Ford at the time, she called in Parliament, asked about this money in body cap. So then they said, but so and so got this money. What you talking about? So when George as chairman checked, the money was on somebody's account. And how you get a check made up to the Barbados Labour Party on your account? To this day, I don't understand. I don't understand it.
So you're saying that the 150,000 that was due to
it was 75. You get it in two tranches, $75,000. So that was the second $75,000. And it just turned up on somebody else's account.
Marcia, leave that alone. It may end up in a court case. Let it be.
I can tell you who it was that stole the money, Marcia.
Let it be. Let it be.
Check your phone.
Let that be.
Well, be careful. You got to be careful.
You got it. But no, the police, that bill ain't passed yet, so they can't come and demand Marcia's phone. They can't come and
Listen,
demand. They can't come and demand
Marcia,
Marcia's
But
phone.
all she
can,
has to
can
do
I?
is make
Marcia
sure.
dropped out.
All
Okay,
she has to do is to
Caswell,
make
while
sure.
Marcia is there, you make her follow the chair and fall off the system.
Fall off the system.
I,
Oh
I,
dear Lord.
I wanted to raise something when Marcia was speaking. I mean, about how this program tended to have evolved into it. Caswell, have you had a chance to look at this labor clauses concession bill 2024?
Well, I was quarreling about it before they did that bill.
But can I in all seriousness, I printed it out today, and I was trying to read it and understand exactly, and so I said, let me ask my friend who is more or favorite, because I in the absence of any explanatory kind of note or whatever the case may be, I really was trying to say, if a person picks up this bill, what is he or she able to glean from it? Because Marcia, I mentioned the labor clauses concessions bill because I was going to raise it when you were talking about the national insurance bill, because when I look at this, this came and we heard a story that the last week there was in some hush tones comments going around that the private sector was going to have a meeting, closed door, no media, to look at this. And then we heard some other things. But I was asking Caswell if a person of limited legal knowledge or of things, when they read this, how easy or otherwise is it to understand its intention and so on. You can help me, Caswell?
We already have on the book something called the Labor Clauses Public Contracts Act. That act is supposed to regulate how people who have contracts with the government, that they must treat the workers properly. Okay. So, for instance, if you have a building firm and you want to do government contracts, you have to pay your workers industry wages,
Okay.
or the government will not contract with you. Mind you, the government always especially this one, they don't enforce it because they let certain people that get a lot of contracts from them pay starvation wages to their people. So, but what happened here with this particular bill? Tony Moore got on the press. I saw her in the news saying that the hotels were treating workers badly, and they were fighting. Remember, they went down the road, and some hotels wouldn't even let them on the compound, and the people then take them, called back the people with the bus and tell them, don't let them drive, but you bus no more, not being and give them more work, and they had to go and scramble to get their own cars to get to and fro, because they are fighting with the hotels now, having neglected them for so many years, but they now have 434 members from hotels in the unions, so they want to build back their membership. Only 434.
Wow.
So they plot, the Barbados Labour Party and the BW are plotting to put measures in place to force the hotels to accept the Barbados Workers Union, because I don't want to stress too much about me now, but apparently there was some meeting, and when the hotels people asked, where's Caswell, because they had meeting Prime Minister, BHTA and Barbados Workers Union, and they thought it was a meeting to discuss union business, and they said, where's Caswell? One of a prominent hotel, they said, wasn't invited. She said, but Caswell is the only boy that comes to our hotel and represent anybody. Then another group people said, but some of our hotels don't even have anybody in Barbados Workers Union. The only body we see is Caswell. So this is a bill. The government is pushing that bill to get Caswell out of the hotel industry so that BW can take back over. And my friend here is saying there are 434 unionized workers out of approximately 14,000 workers in the industry. So this is a bill designed to give the Barbados Workers Union a boost. However, so Brenda discussed it, and Tony Moore was gloating. She didn't understand or didn't realize that you can't, when the rain must fall on the just and on the unjust. So you just got to legislate for one section of the private sector. So they then decided that they're going to make this bill a concessions bill for all the other people who get concessions from the government. So this is supposed to boost the Barbados Workers Union, because I will tell you now, I said
That
it
number
earlier.
is 3%
Huh?
of the workforce. That's
Yeah.
3% only that they have. Wow.
Right? So the people have been leaving Barbados Workers Union in droves, and I thank them for coming. But this now is a conspiracy to strengthen the Barbados workers. You see the government even was taking, because the Barbados Workers Union now cannot even pay its bills. So the government pretended to be using the Labor College to house people and pay them $100,000 a month or something, so that the Barbados Workers Union will have finances.
Question for you, Caswell. What is it? What you may not be able to tell, but what would one of these workers pay to the Barbados Workers Union in dues on a monthly or yearly basis?
A yearly $312.
$312?
$6 a week, $26 a month.
Okay.
So
I just trying to-
$312 per year.
Yes.
Wow.
And
So they're only making 130 something. Yeah, okay. What I'm trying to see this thing, I gotta do another calculator, but they're making a lot of money, and I'm just trying to figure out what the union's revenue from take would be,
from the hotels.
From the hotels is 13. What
135,400.
135.
No,
That's
no,
what I
no,
thought.
no, no, it is
135,000.
434.
Yeah. It's 135. It's
26
135
equal.
something.
It is
434, but you said
334 multiplied by
34.
312.
By this is a big one month, and so by 26 equals like $11,284
A month.
a month.
And they might probably 12 is 135.
Yeah, right. But once they were getting significantly more than that, because they had more than half the workforce in hotels.
That's why I'm saying. So if you go from let's say 7,000, suppose you had about 50%, which would be about 7,000. Let's say 5,000 even. From 5,000, 4,000, 3,000 to 2,000. I mean 434 unionized workers, if that is the case. I believe in unionization, but when the how old is the Barbados Workers Union? I mean, it's as old as I can remember, and that I ain't too
I think it's 39. I think it started 39 or 1940, somewhere around that.
And that's long before my time. But the point I'm making, because I read the bill and I'm trying to understand now, I believe that there are certain standards that must apply for employers. I also believe very strongly that unions have a right to exit. Workers have a right to join unions and so on. But I look at this because I have been observing what's happening. You, we know, have been out there being called on to represent workers. All I can say is the Barbados Workers Union has put itself in this position. I have not been hearing the voice of Ms. Moore in Parliament, maybe sporadically. I have not heard the union on a number of issues, and let me say it. I suppose anybody get a letter. Well, I don't know. I observe my former employer.
I have a new postman, so he probably the new postman know me, because I saw him the other day.
Actually, no, you say that the postman. I have a new one, but and it's a she, but she took by mistake. So none of these are this. She took by mistake some mail to my neighbor who dropped it off for me this afternoon, and she put somebody else's in my mailbox. But the only difference is that my mail, the person, and I know fortunately the person, because there's the same numbers but two different. One is Oxnard, the other is Oxnard Heights. So the mistake was made. But back to the union, to me that's a serious indictment on the union if those numbers are correct, because even if you take out people who have, I mean, well, anyway, I shouldn't say that. That is, let me put it positively. But Marcia, as you know, you always tell you like to speak positively. Caswell, you probably are finding yourself inundated by applications for membership because
I am not complaining though.
I am not asking you to complain. I'm complimenting you, not asking you to complain. No, but it really says something that if this is the predicament of the main, because the Barbados Workers Union has been the general trade union representing workers across the private sector for the most part. So if that is happening, I wonder what the numbers for government workers are like.
You said, Maxine, that figure is 3.1%.
Yeah,
of the work.
over 14,000 is 3.1%.
3.1%.
10% would be 1,400. Divide 14 by 3, and you will see that you round it up to about 30.
3.1%.
3%, less than 5% of that workforce. If that is correct,
I don't think you can find the word for that. And indictment isn't adequate.
No, but mind you, the problem here now too is that they have tried to force, the government is trying to force hotels and other employers to recognize the Barbados Workers Union as opposed to anything else, because the normal standard for recognition is 50% plus one.
Of the person seeking
50% of the bargaining unit.
Of the bargaining unit.
Yeah, 50% plus one. So the Barbados Workers Union does not have 50% anywhere. Mind you, because they've already been recognized, they will continue to be recognized until somebody says, no, I ain't dealing with you. But everybody likes to deal with the Barbados Workers Union because you just gotta get them some Chifet vouchers and Chifet don't get handled like they get handled with kid gloves. So they like them.
Yes, well, you get a letter, you tell.
I have seen that with my own two eyes.
Feelings.
I have, but not yet. It's been passed yet. They gotta go to select committee. So I can talk till they get to the select committee.
It's not going to be retroactive, is it?
It might be because if you say something now, and people then post it on the internet on the world, because if you say out there in public, some of these things are not defamatory. Because defamation is truth. The defense of defamation is that you're speaking the truth. However, if you speak the truth, you can still be prosecuted under this act. And then somebody can take that truth and post it, and I'm able to come for you. I don't know how it can work yet. I'm hoping that it doesn't work like that, but that's what the legislation suggests. Let me get.
Back to this. Go ahead, Miss McLean. I have a question.
I was going to ask Caswell if he has a copy in front of him, if he could walk me through page by page the meaning of. I know you normally set out the arrangement of the sections, but it says here the bill will make provision for the conditions applicable to concessions granted to employers. Basically, what is that saying? That the bill provides for the conditions under which these entities can access any concessions to be given by government, right?
Watch what has happened. What the Barbados Workers Union contemplated, and what was contemplated in THORNE'S gloating, and I will call it gloating. When she got news that the government will go ahead with this thing, is that the collective agreement of the union, if you breach the collective agreement, you will not the government could take away your concessions if you breach the Employment Rights Act and stuff. And they start getting really angry about that. First of all, if you breach the collective agreement, you strike. Unions are supposed to use their strength to represent the workers. They're not supposed to go out there and crawl up in government's tail and then get the government to do things for them. Because when the government changes, the people can say, well, you all were the last party and things, so we ain't helping you. So what you need to do is to live on your own resources, and you must use your own ability to run your union. You don't depend on the government to do so. I see all the general secretaries, the two largest unions, tell won't get a Mercedes and won't get a BMW complete duty free from the government. All right,
No, what you call that?
and I got a call one day from somebody in Ministry of Finance. I said, but you're a general secretary, you could get a duty free car. I said that's not true. I say there's no law that says that. The law that they're using is that the Minister of Finance can waive any duty or any tax. And so they get the minister to waive it for them. I ain't begging the minister for nothing. If it is in law that says so,
You will take it.
I will take it. But I'm begging the boy for nothing. So when you beg them, then you have to do their bidding, because when the car come up for renewal the next time, you ain't get none. So you see, unions must live on its own resources. They must not go to get, for instance, there's one business in Barbados that gives the Barbados workers a lot of food when they have functions. So when their staff go there, the workers don't get the kind of representation that they have. And they say one of the staff members left Barbados Workers Union and gone to workers HR be there at the same place. And so you see how they work, and so the workers don't have any confidence in them, and they're leaving. So this is a move to get this. This isn't intended for the other employers, but you couldn't just say only the hotels. So, but when you do that, we already have an Employment Rights Act that says if you breach the act, you can take the matter to the Labor Department, and then the Labor Department can get it resolved for you onto the tribunal. So why do you need a minister to punish you when there's legislation already taking care of that? But this is to protect, as I tell you, Barbados Workers Union. This government they take care of the interests of their people, whether it makes sense or not. The Holidays with Pay Act, you can take the matter to the tribunal, or you can take it to court. If the employer don't pay your vacation pay, or he tell you, well, look, you are entitled to 3 weeks vacation, but I can give you 2 now and 1 later. You said no, you want all. And if you said no, you want all, you can take him to court.
So Caswell,
the tribunal.
A question here concerning, and thank you, Ms. McLean, for bringing it to our attention. I want to know, it's Peter Early saying all employers are not only the ones employing the workers who are members of the BHTA. Once they're benefiting from government concessions, will have to adhere to the BWU or the BHTA collective agreement. So can you explain to us, because I heard something today that the Prime Minister, I don't know if it's true or false, but that the PM walked out of a meeting because she was told that she was like speaking or whatever, feel like people were being intimidated. Do you think that was that was part of the whole thing, to say, oh, she walked out on the employers, or something, or that it actually happened?
I heard that it happened. I got 3 WhatsApp messages to that effect. And if it did in fact happen, it speaks to the spoiled child when you don't get your way. The little fella, when you were small, and we were little boys, and a fella family had better circumstances than us, and he would get a bat. But in those cases, most of those fellas that used to get the bats and think of a bat. So your boy, the first ball out. So he decided, well, he ain't put it on the bat because he want bat some more. And when he don't get the opportunity to do that, take it back and go home. Well, that is the similar behavior to Mayor Motley. She taking it, she back and going home because people in line should get her way. But the employers are rightfully scared because you invest in put some investment in place. Government, especially hotels, they have concessions where they get so much. If they want to expand, they could get government concessions to help them with duty-free stuff and all kind of thing. Now you go and invest all your money, and then because you got a dispute with the Barbados Workers Union, the government can cancel your concession. Will you be scared too? And you would not want to invest your money not in Barbados, if the government can behave like that. So they are only thinking, Barbados Workers Union losing members, so we gotta try to get them up there, not understanding that that business don't really, because when you doing business, you don't make day-to-day decisions. You plan down the road. You do a 5-year development plan, at least. But when you have a situation where you can have a plan, a development plan, and then the government could change some of the conditions tomorrow, you can't plan. Maxine, you're muted.
I was asking Marcia to put back up Peter Earl's comment because I wanted to ask you a question, because as you're speaking, I'm trying to read these labor clauses, because what I think, because I'm still trying, you see, the teacher in me is really surfacing, because when I read something, I like to be able to, if I had to explain very simply what it is. So what I'm seeing here, and help me walk it through, because I was trying to read the original piece of legislation that you mentioned, the labor clauses, public contract. So what I'm seeing is that with this piece of legislation that they're proposing, and consistent with Chapter 349 of the Laws of Barbados, the Labor Clauses, Public Contracts Act, you're saying that certain employers, and we know that this seems to apply heavily to hotels or what, well, they're one category, that employers, in order to retain or to access concessions, have to observe certain standards or requirements or conditions. I think the word was condition. So when I look, and then I see Mr. Earl is saying it was something about the that wasn't the one. That wasn't the one. There was another comment.
Let me put it back up. Yeah, go ahead.
That one, because I'm looking at that. So this one, what Mr. Earl is saying, and I don't know. I'm just responding to what I see. All employers, and not only those employing the workers who are members of the BHTA, once they're benefiting from government. So in other words, any employer, no, and we're focusing in this instance to the hotel sector, will have to adhere. So any hotel or any employer within the BHTA will, or all employers, and not only those, but all employers in the sector, let me say, the sector represented by the umbrella body or that incorporates the entities that make up the BHTA, that are benefiting from government concessions, will have to adhere to the Barbados Workers Union BHTA collective agreement. Now stick a pin right there and don't move that. I am looking at this thing here, and it says an employer, this is labor clause casual number 6. It says an employer shall recognize the freedom of their employees to be members of a registered trade union and recognize their right to bargain collectively. What that is saying to me is, if we had 50 unions in Barbados and they were able to negotiate on a collective agreement on behalf of workers, then we would have, the BHTA would have 50, or let me bring down the number. Let me say 3, because 50 is not realistic. Let's assume there were 3 unions, or we can say 2, because I'm looking at this, I'm recognizing the fact that of the 14,000 members, based on that number, and I'm assuming that that is correct, on the basis of that number, 3%, based on that, would in fact be members of the Barbados Workers Union. And therefore, if all of them fell under collective agreement, only 3% of those workers would apply. So are you saying to me, Caswell, then, that the Barbados Workers Union BHTA agreement, if you represent workers in, let's say, 5 or 6 hotels, you're the majority union or the only one, what happens? You don't agree, you don't negotiate and agree to a collective agreement for those people you represent? I'm just trying to understand.
Yes, but they want to spread this thing, even if you are not in the agreement, they got to apply to you still. Because this doesn't make sense, because let me do something, see. The Constitution of Barbados makes provision for people to form unions, and as a matter of fact, the Constitution specifically mentioned trade unions. So you don't have to come and put any special act there now. Also, the Trade Union Act, Section 40A, makes it a criminal offense if you dismiss or adversely affect the employment of a person who joins the union or who wants to join the union or even who is talking about joining the union or who leave your workplace to go to a union meeting during working hours. So if you do that, it's a small fine, only $1,000 and 6 months in jail. Mind you, but we won't put $70,000 on somebody for talking. But there are more than sufficient laws on the books to deal with errant. This errant thing coming back to me now. To deal with errant employers. So you don't need this legislation to protect them, to protect workers. So when I hear the minister talking his usual rubbish, talk about, the government going to protect the workers of Barbados. Why was he not protecting the workers that the government was sending home? And when they're protecting Rachel and other people like her, Rachel fell in the well. Why weren't they protecting her? They weren't interested in protecting anybody. It sounds good now. These are sound bites. This is something that the newspapers would capture, and they would then be on the news for a couple of times, and that sound good to them. The Barbados Labour Party, since Grandy Adams, has not been interested in labor unions, except they can control them. Because when Frank Walker and Grandy Adams fall out, Frank Walker went to the Dems, and the Barbados Labour Party hated labor movement after that. It is only now that Mayor has been able to capture the leadership of the Barbados Workers Union that they pretend that they're so interested in the workers. No, they're interested in the workers union, the workers body, because it can give them a boost. It can do something for them. This legislation, it doesn't need to be happening right now. All it will do is to get the employers vexed, and then the government, and mind you, it should work though, because then the people will not give them any money for their campaigns. So they might get the rap. So thank God for that. You know, this is a knee-jerk reaction because they took the labor clauses, Public Contract Act, and then put stuff inside there from there, just almost wholesale. It wasn't thought out. They were just trying to make sure that I don't go to it as a represent anybody.
I wonder if this was drafted by the CPC.
This was drafted long ago because all they did was copy and paste.
I mean, I'm sorry, Marcia. I'm sorry that I'm a little. I mean, I looked at this, and that's why I said I would ask Caswell to walk me through some of this, because of course I'll go back and read it. I understand from the objects and reasons, which is the opening statement, what they're trying to do. But then when I start to look at it, it is not. Well, I would listen to the legal minds on this, but something in this is really not sitting well. And when I look at this, I mean, I'm not sure, and I saw what Peter Earl indicated. No, that is not captured in here, I don't think.
That's what Tony Moore said.
Well, okay, that's what she said. So that's probably what they want to put in place, and that may be a sticking point. But to me, if you have multiple unions who operate in a particular sector, and they negotiate on behalf of their membership, then you're not going to have a single entity or a single collective agreement. And so how can you be specifying that one would have to apply? Now, I note that the employers were, for whatever reason, I suppose that in the first instance you meet with your membership and so on, and even if the press are not in a room or present, I would trust that there would have been some statement emanating from that meeting. But it'd be interesting to hear, others' take on this because I would love to
Excuse
hear.
me, excuse me.
Mhm. No
Check,
problem.
think Mar might be trying to get back in.
Mm?
Okay, got you, got you.
Okay. Yeah, Marcy.
Yeah,
So
but
I just thought
we will.
we have to
What
come
we'll
back
do,
to
we'll
this.
continue. Yeah, we'll have to get back to it.
You,
Because someone
you
sent
lost the jacket.
Leave my friend alone.
yeah, an employer sent it to me today. Okay, an employer sent it to me today, so we have to spend some time on it, and go back to it, But what I want to say is that on Sunday we have not. I don't know if we got a chance to. If Dr. Ferdinand had a chance to talk about um the motorcade that we're going to have, because remember what we're saying, Mr. We're not this. Listen, this opposition train or whatever you call it continues.
It
It
will keep on
continues.
rolling. It will keep
Yes,
on rolling.
we keep on
I just
rolling.
got a WhatsApp message here that says that the senators are Brian Walters and Tricia Watson. Let me
Okay,
say no. Let me congratulate Tricia Watson.
That's
She
an
has been
official
working.
statement.
No, it isn't official. It's coming from my people who sent these things to me. And if it's
Okay.
if that's the case, um, let me see what happens here.
okay. So it's unofficial. So we're saying it's unofficial. Okay. But before, just let me just complete what I was saying about the roadside parliament and opposition motorcade. Um, People, we cannot remain complacent, because we are now told that this bill is going to go to the parliamentary committee, the cyber crime bill. We have to stay on it. The reason that they're pulling it back is because of the noise, because we're making that noise, and so it's important. So on Sunday, where we are going to be at the corner of Westbury Road, right? Right there, and Baxter's Road, which is Westburn Mall. That's where we're going to be on Sunday, and we are going to start there. So, somebody met me in town today, and they said, "Well, I want to come, but I don't have any transportation." And then she said, "Come here, come here," and she put She gave me $20 towards it, and I said to her, "You see, you're giving money, and this is going to help us to be able to provide some kind of transportation for those who don't have a car." So if you don't have a car, we're trying to get some other, a small bus, nothing big, right? A small bus to be able to take those persons down to St. John. All right. So it's very, very important that everybody, we need, if you have one person in a car and we can put some more people in the car, we're gonna pack up the cars, and make sure that the right numbers of people are in the car, and we're gonna head down to St. John. All roads lead to St. John, where we're going to show the movie. We're gonna have a nice family time. We have a jumping tent and all kinds of different things that's going to happen down there. Fish cakes and pigtail and everything, all kinds of things are going to happen down in St. John. Kimar, you're back. What can you say about this roadside parliament and the opposition motorcade in St. John? Welcome back, Kimar.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back. Um, I look forward to next week at Gore Hill, St. John. I hope that many of you who come down to Baxter's Road would have any issues in terms of traveling to St. John. We're traveling by motorcade, which means that if you don't have a car, you could probably carpool with someone, jump in the car and get to St. John, because we really want to see you. For those persons who may miss the motorcade and you catching the bus, the correct bus to catch will be the Sergeant Street bus. Or on Sunday, there's a bus called the Bath bus that marks Bath. So you take that or you take the Sergeant Street bus, if that is your wish. Um, as I said, other persons who are driving, if you don't join the motorcade, you can drive straight to St. John, Go Hill Pasture. There's adequate parking there. And we promise that the evening is going to be a very festive, family and community oriented evening. We'll be showing the Aerobaro movie right in his home, the constituency of St. John. And it is my honor and pleasure. And my first time actually ever speaking in St. John. I on the campaign, I've never actually spoke in the parish, so I definitely look forward. And I'm inviting all of the residents in St. John, matter of fact, all of the residents of Barbados, to come up to Gore Hill next week. So, Marcel, look forward to seeing you there. Maxine, I look forward to seeing you there. Pastor Ferdinand, as well. All of the members of the loyal opposition, let us pack Gore Hill on Sunday, like much what we did the last event that we had in Bridgetown. And let us continue to represent the issues at our roadside parliament and to continue the spirit in which we first started here. And that is not political, but to represent the interests of all Barbadians.
Yes. Very,
It is.
very good.
I want to say parties are political. Politics is everything around us. So I always think so. That
Yes,
we,
correct
no
word, sorry.
serious.
I should
You
say
know,
partisan.
yeah, because people say that when they want to shut you up. I ain't going to get into politics. All the issues we're talking about are about politics, but we're not doing that from a partisan, subjective manner. We're doing that from, as you say, Kimar, objectively. Well, you say if I'm there, we'll have to be driven. I don't drive in the evening and dark
Yeah.
after that. So, but we
Yeah.
will work that one out, Kimar.
Yeah.
Especially if
Well,
you have music for
that's
me.
an easy
Yeah,
carpool.
Kimar,
Somebody,
if you have music for me.
yes, we love music. Easy D says, come with some solutions. Thank you for that reminder. Though one of the features of the roadside parliament is that we ask everybody to come with some solutions. That's been a feature since we've started. Thank you, Easy D, for reminding me of that. And so we're not just going to come and talk about the problems. And we've had some great solutions that that has occurred. And that's why they said this is not just a talk shop. We're action people, right? And a lot of this idea of the motorcade came from you guys. You guys said, been calling from motorcade for a long time. We just used it and added it to this, to the St. John event. So these ideas are coming from you. And so when you come prepared with some ideas and not just, listing out all the problems. Somebody wants to know what time we start. We're leaving Westbourne Mall at 3 p.m. Okay. Now, there are others who are asking for the route. What I'll do, because it's so long, we gave it to everything was brought to the police. And so what we're going to do, we're going to send out the route to everybody. Okay. And we're going to put it up on the page and on the Marcia Weeks show page. We'll also put it on our website, the marciaweekshow.com. You will have the route there. And we will also put it up on the show one of these nights. Either on Wednesday night or on Friday night, we will have the route to put up so that you can make a decision. If you can't meet us at Westbourne Mall, you can join the motorcade on the way to St. John. Dr. Ferdinand, what are your thoughts about this idea of the roadside parliament and opposition motorcade?
Well, Marcia had always felt that we needed to do something between the marches, and we needed to keep that momentum and keep that heat, so to speak, in between the marches. I love the idea. I love the idea of the motorcade. I did that during my election campaign. I found it very effective in terms of the number of people you could touch. Are you going to be able to do any announcing or anything like that
The idea behind it is that this
Right.
education that happens on the Marcia Week show will be done as we are going
as we're going
communities.
through? Yeah,
Yes, and we
that's
have
great
all
stuff.
these different speakers, and we've given them a long list of speakers that will be, speaking all the way. And we're going to talk to the people as we, talk to the people in the community. We have a strong sound system that will get into all the homes. The
Good, good, good.
education, we're taking this education on the road. The opposition goes on the road. I want us to not get complacent, because we now say we have a leader of the opposition. We don't want to be complacent, guys. We cannot afford to. We have to keep
Well,
going.
I
Yes.
think we should. I think our voices must continue to be heard, in spite of the fact that the leader of the opposition is officially there. All it can do is add strength, particularly when we are critiquing things that are detrimental to the people of Barbados. I only see that it can add strength and great value to the overall perspective. The motorcade, fantastic. We've talked about holding the parliament in different areas in the country. I think St. John is a great place to start, especially with the movie, because that's where Errol Barrow held a strong hold. I would never forget when my brother ran against him in St. John. Nobody wanted. I think that was 1986, Maxine. I can't remember,
Somewhere
but
around there.
nobody wanted to take that seat to run against Erbaran, and my brother did. I think he got 1,000 and something votes or something like that, which was excellent. And I think Errol got 5,000 or something like that. So I think it's a great place to really begin. Really, really great place.
Yes, yes. And just for those of you, some of you might have watched the movie already. We're going to have, just before the movie, we have a little show with the young people, and we're going to have, little dancing competition, TikTok dance competition. So bring out the young people. There's a
Well,
jumping test for the children.
that's something. I'm surprised, Caswell, in talking to Maxine about that dance competition. Where he is, what happened with Caswell? How Caswell let Maxine
Yeah,
get away with that one?
No,
yeah, yeah. But we will definitely have lots of prizes, etc., to be won. So we ask everybody to come down. It's going to be a fun time, a really,
Yes,
really
yes.
fun time, a real family time. And well, you know how we do it. Lots of education.
And
And
Marcia,
yes,
sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to share with you that the Saturday's march made it onto the Bahamas news.
Hey,
Uh, we saw you in there, Caswell, and the protest made it big in the middle of the discussion. So I was very happy and proud, and they spoke about the fact that angry protesters came out and told the government,
pull it
right,
back.
but back at the day, it came out about our victory, with the government pulling back on the digital ID. We also got to raise the fact that citizens were being cut off from government services, passports, our usual day. So um, the clip is out already. So some further clips will be out. And I made sure to say that I want to thank the Marcia Week show and to thank the group in the Roadside Parliament. I mentioned our names specifically, and to thank everybody who came out in support of the march on Saturday. So I just wanted to say how proud I was to be able to speak on behalf of the group at that level. And I just want to say thank you all. And Sunday, we have to keep it going. So make sure you all guys are there on Sunday. Because as I always say, we don't know who's watching and supporting.
hmm,
So turn up in our numbers on Sunday. Let us see if we can get it featured on CNN next.
correct, correct. All throughout the region. So, folks, Sunday is a big day, and as I said, let's do it as a family. If you're coming with your car, you're alone in the car. Let's put some people, in the car with you, and have some snacks and some non-alcoholic beverage, so that we don't get in any trouble. You're driving, and we're gonna have a, get you can get a tambourine, something to make noise as we're going along. They
A
have
pot
those
cover and a spoon would do.
a pot
And a
cover and
spoon.
spoon, pot cover and spoon. Let's create an excitement and let people come out of your homes. That would be so great. Every car you have someone with a pot cover and spoon. Pot cover and spoon. Bring your. I love it. I love it.
So when I match up my pot cover,
Yeah, but she had a good strong pot cover. She had a little pot, pot cover. So and it had a good rhythm to it too.
Man, all you need is a good glass bottle and a little nail, and you can keep a lot of racket with that. But trust me,
But yeah, but the ball might break. You see.
you might get too excited.
So bring that spoon, bring the spoon and the pot cover, and let's create a spectacle. And I'm gonna see if I could get some ladies there, Kathy and them, to put a little something on the cars. So when the cars are going, you gotta bring some drama to it. So let's see what we can do
Get some of the
and to create
placards. Get some of the placards on the cars.
on the cars, if we
Yeah.
can, if they're safe, we'll just see what is safe to do. But where it's 9:59 and we're going out, and we want to invite everybody again. Those of you who can go down to the parliament, we are supporting Mr. Thorne. What are we supporting? It's the whole concept of an opposition. We're supporting his courage, right? And that's what we're supporting. We understand he's a man, and we understand. I'm sure they know that when it comes on to us, the opposition, the people of Barbados, regardless of the party, we're going to hold you accountable. We are looking for transparency, accountability from Ralph Thorne. We will encourage you, but we're going to call you out, sir, because we love Barbados. Mr. Let's. I think everybody had a
Yeah.
kind of a final word, encouraging people to come out. Let me hear from Mr. Franklin before we close.
Well, I could just join everybody because I want to see this work, and the people of Barbados now should be emboldened because they saw our victory. And then don't fool yourself. We had a victory over the weekend when the Prime Minister was forced to announce that she will send the bill to a select committee. That is no small achievement when you're dealing with a bully. Bullies, when you got force a bully to back down. So let us come out there, and a lot of the other things that we were asking about, if we had that kind of support, we might have had better results. So I'm encouraging the people, come out, let the people of Barbados see you, in particular the politicians, let them see you, let them know that you are angry. And because we have an alternative now in Ralph, we can use that as well to our advantage, because I see Ralph as our friend. Why I say that? I see the Barbados Labour Party as the enemy of the people of Barbados. They have done everything possible to hurt us. And Ralph alluded to some of it today. That is what he's going to stay. So, the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, if Ralph Thorne was not already my friend, he would become my friend because we have one common enemy. That enemy is the Barbados Labour Party, the arrogant Barbados Labour Party. They have become so arrogant so fast, it isn't funny. And they are destroying this country. We need to take this country out of their hands. It's as simple as that. So come out and support. I don't say come out and support us. Come out and support yourselves.
Yes,
Good night.
it is us. Thank you
Yes.
all so much for
night.
joining tonight. Thank you, Dr. Ferdinand. Sorry I missed the first part of the show, but I know it was exciting. And thank you to Kimar for gracing us with his presence tonight. Having done the Eyewitness News Bahamas. And thank you so much for representing us there, Kimar. We appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. McLean, as usual, for coming on and for raising that important issue about the labor concessions bill. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, to the General, Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We so appreciate you and the work that you
And
do. Yes,
thank you to the loyal opposition. Over
yes,
1,000, 1,160 something, I think we
Wow.
went up to tonight.
yes, yes. Went up to
Yeah.
1,200 at one point,
Wow.
so over
Yes.
1,200.
Thank
So
you.
we
Thank
we
you. Keep
wanna,
sharing. Keep sharing. Keep sharing.
yes. Thank you all, and a good night. I think we I don't know if we can play the anthem. People are asking for the anthem to close. Are we going to be able to do that every night? But let's do it again. I mean, we all happy about Mr. Thorne, and we're going to be at the Parliament tomorrow. Why not? Let's can we get the anthem up there? Is it too late now to call for it? All right. If not, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything. Not seeing anything.
It was just,
Um,
I heard a bit of something.
in the meantime, guys, when you see the flyer that is with the motorcade, please share it. We're gonna do some promotion on social media. We're gonna ask you to share it. Change your profile pictures. Make your profile pictures the Roadside Parliament, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp profile. Change your profile pictures. Help us, right? So that funding, it can stretch. If you help us, we can't afford the radio ads, but we can use social media, and we need you to help. Okay, very, very important. I don't think we're getting this anthem tonight, so good night,
Yeah, I just
everybody.
started
It
to
was
play it.
playing. It was playing
It
just
was playing.
now.
Yeah, and it stopped.
I'm not seeing it.
Good. Great. Thank you. Bye bye.
Good night.
Good night. God bless.
Good night. Good
Bye
night.
bye.